Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Adam, and I'll be your moderator for Deal or Grill, aka DOG session tonight. All right, first things first, let's do a sound check. Can you guys hear me? Kalau boleh, give me thumbs up or send good in the chat box. Come on, guys. All right, takkan 5 orang je yang boleh dengar saya? Give me some thumbs up, guys. Okay, okay, thank you for the response. All right. So once again, Assalamualaikum and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on board for the DOG session tonight, where we are going to cover which place is a deal and which place maybe needs a bit more thinking. Okay, so while some of you might be preparing for CNY and might also already in Kampung for the CNY and Ramadan festival next week, we thank you again for joining us tonight. Any of you joining from Kampung can let me know. Ada ke yang joining this live session from Kampung? Can type in the chat box. Ada tak? Ke semua di rumah masing-masing tonight? Okay, nice. Thank you guys for joining wherever you are. So, in tonight's session, we are going to concentrate the properties specifically in Penang. And stay tuned and hear us grilling the Penang's top sellers, where we are going to reveal and grill the marketing secrets of Island's hot sellers. Okay, so our speakers for tonight's DOG will be the Faizul Ridzuan himself, alongside with our dedicated members and expert in their own fields, Zakri and Albee from the research team. And now, for those who's watching this live session on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, I'd like to welcome you guys to join us on Zoom because you can ask us hot questions related to tonight's session. Our team will share you the link in the comment section on every respective platforms. All right. And for those already on Zoom, you can drop your related questions into the Q&A box and we will answer one by one during the Q&A session later. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before I call upon Faizul Ridzuan himself, I'm going to do a quick check. Siapa sini pernah attend DOG session? Siapa sini pernah attend DOG session? Can type 2 in the chat box. Bagi saya nombor 2 if you have ever attended our DOG session before. Come on guys, ada tak? Okay, I see some yang pernah join our DOG session. Okay, now I'm going to see if we have newcomers tonight. For anyone yang first time joining our DOG session, boleh type nombor 1. Bagi saya nombor 1. For the first timer yang join DOG session tonight. Alright, thank you so much for the response. I thank you again for joining our tonight's session. So, before I call upon our Faizul Ridzuan, let me quickly go through the housekeeping rules for tonight's session. So, firstly, there will be no recording given, but if you wish to watch this session again in the future for reference, you can check out our YouTube channel, Faizul Ridzuan. We will upload the video in that channel. And secondly, do not share your personal information. Keep it to yourself, and yes, we will answer related questions tonight. And lastly, if you have any questions, please put your question in the Q&A box below. Avoid sending your question in the chat box because it's for engagement and we won't see your question. And in the last session, we're going to answer your questions accordingly by sequence, okay? So are you guys ready? If yes, show me some thumbs up, guys. If you are ready, give me some thumbs up. All right. With that, I'm going to call upon the man himself to kickstart tonight's Deal or Grill 2026 Penang edition. Our Faizul Ridzuan, are you ready? The floor is yours, FR.
everyone. Don't know whether you guys can hear me loud and clear. I don't think you can hear my voice that good. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Boleh dengar ke? You guys boleh dengar? Okay, cool. Wonderful. So, Assalamualaikum. Good evening semua. Apa tu? Today, we're gonna do a continuation. Last time kita ada Battle Royale. We did compare Klang Valley, we did compare Johor, we did compare Penang. So basically, if you're looking to buy dekat any of these three, especially kalau, for example, you are non-Malaysian, what do you go and buy, right? So I think we've covered the three markets in general. So today is a bit more of a orang cakap deep dive, yeah, into the Penang market itself. So basically saying kita dah compare tiga market tu. We already told you Penang is largely for capital gain, not so much on cash flow. And if you are still a Penang punya fan, right? So what do you then go and look at dekat Penang? Right? So basically malam ni is going to be the session. If you are looking to buy something in Penang, so you got to know the numbers lah basically, right? You got to know numbers. You have to understand what is happening dekat Penang. You know, what is the trend as of today. And, you know, we're going to uncover, you know, one of the more controversial things malam ni, whereby if they have a lot of sales, does that mean that development is good, right? So basically, we're gonna cover the tricks and being used by property developer and agents, right, to make sure that the units are fast moving, right? So again, this is not to say the property is bad ataupun shit or anything. It's just telling you guys the truth lah. What are the tricks being used and apa semua tu, so that you guys understand, right? When you want to buy Penang, these are the things that you need to look at, right? So we good, guys, right? So we can start, right? So before I start, I nak tanya kat sini. The most important question. Who is here from Penang? Ada tak orang kat sini pada Penang? Ke you guys semua bukan dari Penang? Alright. So we have a couple, right, who are coming from Penang itself, right? So cool. You know, I think tomorrow is a public holiday. So apa tu? I apologize if tonight punya session appears to be a little bit insensitive. But we have actually planned this session for quite some time already. So therefore kita continue lah, right? So for those kawan-kawan yang mengamuk ke cakap kita buat, we are not sensitive to the Chinese community, right? Chinese New Year dan apa semua tu, and you can watch the recording. Kita dah plan ni daripada awal, guys. So unfortunately, right, for capital ni kita ni tak sensitif langsung. Kita tak ada cuti. If I boleh kerja waktu raya, I akan kerja waktu raya. Unfortunately, none of my team nak kerja waktu raya. So therefore, I am forced to take leave. Right? So you know, I had meeting tadi, right? In the afternoon, I had meeting, and it's a fucking Sunday, right? So who gives a shit? Right? So kita memang macam tu. We are completely insensitive. We just share content. This is not to piss off tiba-tiba orang dan apa semua tu cakap, we don't like Chinese people, that's why we do it on Chinese New Year Eve. No lah, bullshit lah. We have done it in Deepavali juga. Like I said, kalau I boleh buat waktu raya tu, I have done it. Tapi tak boleh. Sebab no one will support me, right? I cannot do life on my own. Right? So, macam tu. So, okay. So, tonight, we're gonna do Deal or Grill, Penang edition. Again, this is continuation of our first Battle Royale. Kita compare Penang, Klang Valley versus Johor. So, now we go deep dive into Penang. Okay. So, good. I can see a couple of people from Penang malam ni. So, that's good. So, you can verify everything that we share malam ni. So, we love to share data, which is why a lot of agents don't like Far Capital, don't like this Deal or Grill. Right? So unfortunately. Yeah. But anyway, Iherng ataupun Sean supposed to join us tonight. He's not feeling well. They had the flu sampai hilang suara, so he couldn't join. So unfortunately, right? But nonetheless, kita still ada a couple of panelists lah. Right? Now, let's move to the first slide, please. Right? So why are we doing this? Long story short lah, guys, we want to use data, we want to use facts, right, to help people who are looking to either buy own stay property or people who are looking to invest in Penang, right? And we are hoping that the data and the facts that we share can cut through all the hype being used by the property developers and agents, and then you can look at things from a very fundamental POV. Okay? So we want to provide an independent guide for anyone looking to buy something, and if there's anyone or any agencies ataupun developer they wanted to use incorrect facts to go and sell property. We want to highlight those things, right? And the reality here is that majority of the Penang Island property developer in the last, people who buy in Penang Island in the last 10 years actually don't make money. All right, this is similar story to Medini actually, right? Majority people who bought in the last 10 years all don't make money kat Johor. Okay, so we are hoping to go and change that lah, because we are the only party that actually successfully made money in Johor in the last 5 years, Alhamdulillah. And we just entered Penang last year, and our result in Penang has been quite decent. I think we are the first party who can buy a new condo dekat Penang and dapat above 6% rental yield. Yeah, 6% rental yield, I think in Penang is a bit unheard of. But we are the first one to go do this. Officially dapat, berjaya dapat buat, berjaya dapat sewa, berjaya dapat beli. Right, so we think we have got things to share lah tonight, right? So to share best practices. How do you then play Penang, right? Properly. Okay. So next slide, please. Okay, these are all previous Battle Royale punya episode in the past. You can go and watch it by following our YouTube channel kalau nak, right? So next slide, please. Right, these are also our deal or grill, right? Yang kita dah buat. Again, go and watch our YouTube channel. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is to highlight where are we today from a cycle punya POV, from a property market punya where we are. Now, just to share a little bit, right? This is the average rental yield as of today. Recap a little bit apa yang kita dah share in our first Battle Royale punya webinar. We compare 3 states, right? So, Penang has never been a rental yield punya state ataupun play, right? Penang has always been a capital gain punya play, which is why, for example, if you look at the rental yield, right? So if people are looking to buy for investment kat sini, and they are looking to buy from a rental punya POV, Penang is basically one of the worst market to look at, right? So your primary objective, if you are looking to buy in Penang, has to be capital gain, right? Never rental, because the average rental yield in Penang is actually quite low, 3 to 4%. KL average is above 5. Johor Bahru can be anything above 6. Okay? So guys, Penang is a market you want to buy if only for 2 reasons. Satu, you love Penang, you are looking to retire in Penang. Number 2, you are looking to buy something for capital gain. Okay? So if you're looking to buy for investment, for cash flow, look at other markets. Don't look at Penang. Okay, so that's rule number 1, right? So rule number 1, kena ingat, Penang is always going to be a capital gain punya market, not rental. Next slide, please. Okay, so again, these are basically just clippets, right, of basically articles and apa semua tu, just to highlight to you what is the rental yield you're looking at, right? Dekat Penang. So if you tengok dekat sini, I want you to see the third punya table tu. Batu Feringgi short term is up to 3.3% saja. This is Batu Feringgi, and they are even doing short term, doing 3.3. We are doing long term and we are getting above 6%, guys. So again, you buy the right price point, it's not that difficult to go and get 6% even dekat Penang. Okay, and talking about Penang Island. Next slide. All right, so this is just to show proof where the other markets is, right? So this is part of a tiering punya guideline dekat Penang, right? So kita divide Penang into 3 tier. You got Penang Island tier 1, then you got a upper tier 2, and then you got tier 3. Okay. Long story short, summary dia adalah for Penang Island, there's only tier 1 dengan tier 2 saja dekat Penang Island. Dia tak ada tier 3. Everything inside the island is all part of tier 1 ataupun tier 2. Tier 1 kawasan orang kaya, tier 2 kawasan orang yang tak berapa kaya. Right? So all the foreigners will never buy tier 2. Faham? They will buy tier 1. Right? So Batu Feringgi, Teluk Bahang, Tanjung Bunga, Gurni, Georgetown, Glugo. So these are all part of tier 1. Okay? So long story short, tier 1 ni nak beli mahal, nak sewa lagi mahal. Tier 2 nak beli masih mahal tapi sewa dia murah nak mampus sebab orang Penang tak nak bayar sewa mahal. Yang ni boleh tanyalah dengan orang Penang sendiri. Orang Penang ni kedekut guys, dia pandai bahagian duit ni, memang pandai. You know, people in Penang is very well known to be kiam siap. The Chinese word is kiam siap. I'm not sure if I pronounce it properly or not, guys. So my fellow Chinese brothers and sisters, please give me feedback. You know, kau tahulah Melayu ni kan kalau belajar bahasa Cina for first tu is all the not so good words So not so good words So okay, thank you Peter for your feedback, right? Kiam siap, right? So Penang folks are very smart. They don't pay high rental. They buy. Alright, so Penang folks, and I used to work for Standard Chartered, guess what? Dulu, bila cerita pasal savings, every time kita buat saving promotion kat Standard Chartered tu, Penang number one, guys. Penang memang dia banyak duit kepuk cash. Right, so that's Penang profile for you. So dia memang kiam siap, dia tak nak bayar mahal. Right, so they will never pay you, especially for locals, so very high rental. Anything above 2,000 tu is next to impossible to rent to a local Penang Kia. Betul ke tak betul? Local Penang kat sini. Right? So I'm not sure whether my number is correct ataupun tak. But based on my understanding, anything above 2,000, almost impossible to rent to a Penang camp. So that means you can only rent above 2,000 ni to people who are not coming from Penang. Alien lah. People who are not from Penang, not coming from Penang, kerja dekat Penang, okay. You akan dapat jumpa diorang ni pergi sewa lebih pada 2,000. So far follow guys. So tu beza tier 1 dengan tier 2. Tier 3 is all mainland, jauh-jauh lah senang cerita. Right? Tier 2 mainland dekat dengan jambatan, both bridges. So you got Batu Kawan and you got apa tu? You got Batu Kawan lah especially part of tier 2. Dengan bayang baru. Okay? So this is how we segregate. So here's the most important thing you have to understand. If you want to make money, you cannot overpay based on tier. So that means you kena faham. Tier 1 tu harga dia average berapa? Right? How much is the average price point in tier 1? Okay. How much is the average price point in tier 2? The job for you when you want to buy is to not overpay versus the tier. Because the worst thing you can do is to pay tier 1 price in tier 2 areas. Does that make sense, guys? Right? Because tier 2 tak ada expat. When there's no expat, you cannot get sky high rental. So your rental become 3%, 2%. Okay. Now you understand, I guess, kenapa kita ada konsep tier. Why tiering is so important. Okay. Now, next slide, please. So again, I want to cover the basic first before we go to the review of the property, right, and our analysis. Okay, so this is where KL rental yield is there. So like I said, roughly it's about 5% to 6%. Next. All right. Johor, like I said, is the highest. So if you are looking for rental yield, Johor has got the best rental yield as of today. In fact, majority of our portfolio dekat Johor, right? Our Johor property, as of today, averagely 9% rental yield, guys. So you have to remember, there's market average, which is 6% kat luar, and then there's far cap average. Far cap project, across the board in Johor in the last 5 years, 9% and above. Highest is almost 12%. Rental yield, long-term rental, not Airbnb. So you understand? So if you are looking to buy for rental yield, Johor gives you the best possible opportunity. You want to go for capital gain, is Penang. You want to go for somewhere in between of both, blue chip, you go buy Kuala Lumpur. That's how you should look at things. I have a lot of Penang clients who don't buy in Penang because rental in Penang quite bad. Can only get 3%, 4%. So where do they buy? They buy Johor. Get 9%, 10%. Penang tak boleh. Right? You just cannot get 10%. Okay. And again, I'm not talking about short-term rental. I'm not talking about Airbnb. We are talking about either doing a room rental, co-living kind of like setup or medium to long-term rent. Okay. We don't use short-term here. Right. So next slide, please. Okay. So this is just to share, like I said, our average portfolio in tier 1 in both Penang, KL, and Johor. Right. While the average for Penang is about 3 to about 4%. We are getting 7 today, 6, almost 7, right? High 6 basically. In Johor, we are getting at 9% for our tier 1 property. In KL, we are getting anything from 8% all the way to about 10%. Okay, all the way to about 10%. Yeah. So again, If you are looking for rental yield, you are buying for investment, looking for rental yield, Penang is not going to be the market you should be very excited about. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is just to give you again a summary of what we have bought, right? To give you a sample in terms of what is our rental yield of today. So far, we are getting way above average rental yield. Doesn't matter where we go, from Johor all the way to Penang, all the way to even JB, right? So typically, we get about anything between about 40 to about 60% higher compared to what the market average, because we buy at a better price point. We buy cheaper. We also are able to go and rent higher. So I'm going to teach you a little bit how we do it kejap lagi. Next slide, please. Okay, so in terms of property cycle, this is where we are as of today. Johor Bahru already enter a beginning of the next bull run, right? Penang and Kuala Lumpur is now at the final stage of recovery, about to enter property boom. Okay, so again, the prediction this year, interest rate will go down. Economically speaking, it's going to do quite well for Malaysia. We are very well positioned. We're going to do better than Indonesia. We're going to do better than Philippines. We're going to do better than Thailand, right? We're going to do even better than Singapore, right? So therefore, from an economic growth point of view, job POV, inflation point of view, Malaysia punya situation is actually pretty good. Okay, so therefore, Penang and KL are both now at the final stage of recovery, looking to enter property boom. Johor has already entered the property boom, which is why you see a rental of 30 to 50% increase in the last 3 years dekat Johor. You don't see that in Penang, you don't see that in Kuala Lumpur, by the way. Right? And the only property portfolio yang ada dekat dalam Far Capital in the last 5 years, whereby client bought and offered 300,000 capital gain profit, Johor. KL baru 100,000 saja. Right? So therefore, Penang pun lebih kurang sama. So Johor, like I said, officially entered a property boom. So we've been buying in Johor since 2020. So for those who have followed us, I think they're actually very, very happy with their Johor punya portfolio lah. But that's typically what happened during property buran. You memang normally see the 6-figure capital gain. Rental normally go up by 20 to 30% or within 2 to 3 years. That's very normal during buran. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we're going to cover the first hot topic tonight. If the project is hot selling, fast selling, does that mean that it's a good investment? Right? So on paper, in theory, it sounds logical, but there's a lot of hype. Okay, but just because many people are doing the same things doesn't mean that they are all right. They could all just be blind leading the blind. Bodoh follow bodoh pun ada juga. I'm not saying this is the case, but again, you shouldn't measure whether a property is good or bad just purely based on the speed of sales. That's what the whole point I'm trying to say. Right? Because otherwise, the agents and developer can scam you into thinking, see, my project was selling 95%. Right? Because I have very smart people, I know very smart people, VIP, multi-millionaire, buy property, lost money after 5 years. And I ask him, why you buy these 2 units? I see a lot of people queue, mah. So I buy lah. A lot of people queue, everyone buy fully sold in the first 30 days. Sure, good one, mah. Right? The reality is not. Right? The speed of sales has got nothing to do with the quality of the property. Okay, the best purchases that I've made, right, in the past are sometimes property that took 4 years to be fully sold. So okay, the speed of sales has got nothing to do with the quality of the investment. So that's the key thing you have to understand. Just because there's a lot of hype does not mean that it's good. It just means that a lot of people are doing a very good job hyping the property. Itu saja, guys. You know, I'm sure that Penang guys can relate lah. You know, this touristy punya tempat makan, banyak orang beratur tapi tak sedap mana pun. Betul tak, guys? Can relate or not? So I think you can relate to this lah. Right? There are some proper gems tak ada orang beratur. No need to queue for 30 minutes, jelaka, right? And makan pun tak sedap, right? Kurang ajar pula tu, mahal pula tu kan. So property pun sama juga, guys. Just because there's a bunch of queue doesn't mean it's damn good lah. That's my whole point. Okay, so now, how come this project, even though it's being sold at a record high price point, can be sold quite fast, right? So tonight we're gonna uncover why. What is the secret? So this is basically, I think Exim as a developer has been quite active dekat Penang. They've got a couple of successful launches, right? A couple of successful launches. So again, they hand over 32 McAllister. Nodins is now 100% fully sold out at Georgetown, right? And the price point isn't cheap. You're talking about above 1,000 ringgit PSF. Okay, so today we're going to uncover a little bit how some developer like Exim is able to go and get fully sold sales liters. So some people might speculate, oh ini goreng je ni, letak-letak stiker dan apa semua tu. I would say that Exim does that. They are pretty good developer, right? So it's not a trick. When they say it's fully sold, I have a lot of faith that it is fully sold. So your job is to understand whether is it being fully sold because the property is good or because of something else. One of the primary reasons, right, we discovered why certain project can move very fast is basically marketing is strong. The strategy to market the property is extremely smart, extremely strong. So long story short, if the project fully sold very quickly, now it could be the project is very good to the point it's no-brainer, people want to buy. It could also mean the marketing is super strong. Okay, how do you then create a super strong marketing? Number one here is that very attractive commission structure. And I'm not talking about 1% or 2%. Some projects as of today are giving anything between 5 all the way to even 10% commission. Right? Dekat KLCC, you can get easily 5 to 8% commission. Okay? And it's not just high commission. Sometimes they give fast commission. So that means when the agent go and sell the property, they get paid within 7 days after you sign the SPA. Okay? So, has got nothing to do with the quality of the property. I'm not saying, again, the property is good ataupun the property is bad. But if the marketing is strong, even a not so good property can be fully sold very quickly because the agents are motivated when they see the money. So far, you guys follow? Right? So, strong marketing, number one. Very high awareness, number two. Number three, right incentive, which is, high commission. Number four, fast incentive. Okay? Then it can also be combined with other additional incentive. For example, if the agent sell minimum number of units, they get to buy this property cheaper. So they can tell you, I bought this property. I think this property is so good to the point I also buy this property. But actually, they're buying the property at a much cheaper price point because of the incentive. So far, you guys follow? Right? So, if you don't know, these are what is currently being implemented in the market as of today. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it as a fact. Right? So, when the incentive is correct, guess what? People are going to be motivated to push, to promote. So, which is why during that couple of weeks of launch, there's a lot of hype, very high excitement. Every day 20 to 30 bookings. You are being rushed. Tuan, yesterday je 30 booking tau. Now sekarang ni tinggal the last 15 unit. You tak book sekarang, I think by today habis. So you pun, wah lama. A lot of people buy, must be good mah. A lot of people queue for the restaurant, must be good. You pun pergilah letak booking fee. Okay. So again, I'm not saying it's a bad project. I'm not saying it's a good project. I'm saying it's a phenomenal marketing. When the property has got the right incentive, okay, a lot of things can become easier. Sales becomes much faster. Just now we covered the gimmick. What is the incentive? Now let's look at the truth. This is probably the most important slide after the tiering slide just now. This is probably the most important slide that you need to know about pinning. Okay, so please screenshot benda ni. Right, so let me bergaya sikit dengan muka I. Macam tu. This is the most important slide, okay, that you need to know about pinning. You faham benda ni, you dah tahu dah property tu okay ke tak okay. Okay, now can you tell me, ada cakap again, muka bergaya. Macam tu, kena timbak. Right, so okay, dah. Okay. A lot of you first timer here expected very dry property talk. Ternyata, this Bangladeshi looking guy can also do, dad jokes lah. Not bad lah. Boleh lah, menghiburkan korang sikit. Now, anyways, right? Can you tell me what is the most obvious punya benda dekat dalam slide ni? I wanna let you absorb this slide, right? Absorb this slide, lepas tu come to your own conclusion. Can you tell me what's the most obvious one? I don't know whether I can agree to Kiam Siap or not, because surprisingly, there's more than 10% of transaction happens at above 1,200 ringgit per square foot. So it does not mean that it's no longer Kiam Siap lah, if you ask me lah. If you compare this to Johor, only 1% of the transaction actually happens above 1,200 ringgit per square foot. Less than 1. First important fact number 1. Look at the studio and one bedroom punya number of units being transacted in the last 2 years, guys. It's only 45 units. These are all sub-sale transaction. This is not newly launched sales. This is sub-sale, secondary market. Now, there's a good question. Why in this sub-sale data? Why not look at new launch data? Sub-sale is real because you have to put 10% down payment. There's a proper valuer. Primary market, developer can massage everything. If you look at the latest launch in Penang, majority of the developments, is it small unit or is it large unit, guys? What do you guys think? If you look at the recent launches in the last 12 bulan, small units or large units? So if you look only from new launch, guess what? The trend will tell you the hottest unit are studio units. You look at sub-sale, it will tell you that the studio unit paling tak laku orang nak beli nanti. Second hand market. Now, this is true in the last 2 to 3 years. Will it change after 2030? I don't know. My guess here, I don't think so. Because why? People who buy small unit, they don't buy for own stay, they buy for investment. If your rental yield is only 3 to 4%, what's the story lah to go buy small unit? Betul tak, guys? So your 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom is largely driven by people who are actually buying this for own stay, buying this for retirement. So it makes sense. You can justify it. But the small unit is the one whereby largely bought for investment, actually very hard to sell upon completion. Not what I say. This is what the data as of today says, guys. Okay. The 4-bedroom is not a popular configuration now anywhere dekat Malaysia tau. Even then, you still have 10 times more the volume, compared to the studio and 1-bedroom. Now, if you go to KL, you go to Johor, the number is very different. There's a lot of transactions of studio units and 1-bedroom. It's not the same in Penang. Okay? Which to me is probably the most shocking finding when we look at this. Okay? Number 2 here is that if you look at the overall transaction that happens above 600 ringgit per square foot, right? So this is the key, right? Above 600 ringgit per square foot, only 11% of this transaction happens above 1,200 ringgit per square foot. Right? I think we should have made one more which covers 1,200 ringgit per square foot versus all transactions. I'm not sure, Zach, whether you can get the data and then maybe we can share later, right? What's the overall number of transactions dekat Penang in the last 2 years? And how many of it is happening above 1,200 ringgit per square foot? Because the new launch in Penang, as of today, jarang yang murah, betul lah, guys. It's all about above 1,200, right? Now people are talking about 1,600, 1,800 ringgit per square foot. So I think it's very important to know how many number of transactions annually that happens at above 1,200 ringgit per square foot. If I look dekat sini, roughly slightly over 200 units saja over the last 2 tahun lah, guys. Since 2024, is only 200, slightly over 200 units. So that means 100 unit a year tau. Transaction happening above 1,200 ringgit per square foot. Okay. So, if you pay above 1,000, 1,200 ringgit per square foot, wah, man. And especially if you buy the small units, the market for that is almost non-existent. Studio unit, one bedroom, above 1,200 ringgit per square foot. In the last 2 years, only 19 transactions. Means less than 10 transactions per year, guys. 1 tahun. Last year, how many small units were launched in Penang Island? More than 1,000. Going by this run rate, guys, 1,000 people katalah buy for investment because jual cepat kan. So many people buy for investment. It will take them roughly about 100 years to fully sell, sub-sale. This 1,000 unit that was launched last year, kalau 10 unit je jual setahun, 100 years, guys. Not looking very good lah. But again, this is what the agents and the property developers launching in Penang will never tell you. Now, again, the dynamic can change after 3 to 5 years. Maybe it become the hottest thing there is after 3 to 5 tahun. I don't know, right? But my job is to not tell you and speculate, though. My job is to tell you the facts. My job is not to make prediction, right? My job is to tell you the fact as of today, and then after that, you use the information that we share with you to your benefit. That's it. And today, it's not looking too good lah for people who buy small units dekat Penang Island, especially those who have paid above 800 ringgit per square foot. The number of transactions is only 40, guys, so roughly about 20 units saja. Tak sampai 23 unit per year. Not looking good. Alright. So, the most popular, kalau you tengok dekat sini, what layout, guys? Across the board, is all 3 bilik. And funny enough, the 2 bedroom tak popular, I suspect largely not because orang tak suka beli, tapi tak banyak unit of 2 bilik. So that's why number of transaction pun tak banyak. So I think if you want to play in Penang, I think the biggest opportunity is not the studio, the 1 bedroom. It's also not the 3 bedroom, which is quite common. It's actually the 2 bedroom. I suspect. Right? I suspect. Especially for retirees. I don't know whether you need 3 bedroom, but I think 2 bedroom is just nice. Okay, so I think that's probably the most undersupply level of layout dekat Penang Island. Potentially also have got the biggest opportunity. Okay, in Penang Island is also quite weird sebab ada 5 hingga 6 bilik juga dekat sini, right? So I'm not sure whether this covers only high rise ataupun this one covers also landed property as well. Okay, so far the team covers confirmation high rise. So ada high rise diorang bina with 5 hingga 6 bilik. So far tak jumpa lagi yang ni dekat KL. I think it's very, very, very rare. But good for Penang lah basically. Right? So again, just to recap, the smallest number of layout from a demand punya POV is actually studio and 1 bedroom dekat subsale. So that means it might be very hot for you to buy from developer, but very hard to go and sell later because the demand for such unit is just not a lot. Okay, but let's see whether this particular trend changes or not after 3 to 5 years. Today, you know, you should enter with your eyes buka besar-besar lah. Right? So guys, this is the most important slide for tonight. Yeah, you follow this, you will know already what people are looking for. Mana paling senang nak jual? Obviously, it's going to be 3 bilik, the 3 bedroom. Right? The 3 bedroom. Is the only layout even at above 1,200 ringgit per square foot, triple digit transaction. Is the only one. Okay. Now, the other interesting information dekat sini adalah, if you look across the board, guys, the number of overall transaction above 600 ringgit per square foot dekat Penang is actually below 2,000 units over 2 years. So that means only 1,000 transaction happens above 600 ringgit per square foot every year. Just about 1,000 saja. It's not that bad. It's also not great lah. It's also not great. So again, very important, monitor you punya price per square foot. Okay, which is why kita cakap pasal tier, right? You don't pay tier 2 price point. Tier 1 price point buying tier 2 property. And when you want to buy tier 1, you also have to buy under value. Outcome, number one, I think we've repeatedly said this. Penang is a capital gain property. Right? Rental yield relatively quite low, 3 to 4%. Right? Primary demand is going to come from own stay home buyers, which is why all this investable layout macam studio dengan one bedroom tak berapa laku. Less than 3% of transaction happen for this layout. Right? Paling popular 3 bilik, which is very popular for home buyers. Okay? So, what is being sold in Penang recently, and I think is also going to be the case in the near future, is that a lot of people are looking to buy small units to do short-term rental. Okay. As of today, from a trend punya POV, it's not looking very good because you can buy, but how to sell? Okay. Co-transaction does not happen for small units. Right? So again, our job is to present you the facts, and then after that, you go and make your own decision. You want to beli, you beli lah, no problem. Right? As long as you fully aware, okay, I'm buying this property because I like this area, I like the Airbnb story, etc., etc. But I already know maybe very hard for me to go and sell. Jangan kena tipu with the agent punya capital gain story, buy today, sell 100,000, 200,000 profit. Especially if you're already paying above 800 ringgit per square foot. Faham guys? Ni bro betul-betul give you, well, this is the hard line punya number. If you go and break it, the probability of you not making money is going to be very high. Itu saja. So we did a basis to compare, right? So because we don't know what is how is the property being sold in the past, right? So we look at their other short-term property. Unfortunately, there's none in Penang that's got track record. So we look at Kuala Lumpur. So again, we are here to present the facts, right? So that you can fully understand. Mana tahu kalau agent dia tiba-tiba cakap, wah, property kat KL dapat 99% punya occupancy rate. Mana tahu dia kelentong kau kat sana kan, kat Penang kan. So, let's just look at the data, right? So, the data indicates very clearly, okay, what is the trend looking like. Now, next slide, please. There are two things, right? Bila cerita pasal doing short-term stay, right? So, I think we can skip this slide. Next slide, please. Right? Okay, guys. They've got 3 developments in city center, Kuala Lumpur. Okay. First is Expressions. That's the oldest one. Second is Ceylons. The third one is Scarlets. It's completed within 2 years of each other. Okay. So there are 2 things that make people buy or don't buy a property bila cerita pasal Airbnb. Betul lah, guys? First one is that how much is the occupancy rate? Number 2, how much is the daily rate? Betul? It's only these 2 things sahaja. Right? Then you kali, then you will know whether the property can make money or not doing short-term rental. Betul? Only look at number 1, how much is the average daily rate? Number 2, what is the average occupancy rate? Okay? My problem with a lot of these agents who are selling this as a short term, they tend to use 5-star hotel punya rental nightly rates to sell you this product. But they are not 5-star hotel. They are not an international hotel chain. They are local short stay operator. The standard is not the same. The pricing premium is also not the same. Fair, right? So this is the data as of today. Okay. So if you look at the average, it does not go beyond your 300 ringgit per square foot, especially for your 1 bedroom ataupun studio unit. Hotel in these areas easily 500 hingga 1,000 ringgit, guys. So don't let the agent scam you using your 5-star hotel punya rental rate or even 4-star. Kalau 4-star pun easily 300 to 400 ringgit per night. kalau dekat area KLCC Bukit Bintang ni. Okay, clear guys? The reality is very different. How do we know this? Kita subscribe to our data called AirDNA, whereby we can actually track each development. What is the average rental rate in the last 1 year? What is the actual occupancy rate across multiple platform? Tak boleh tipu punya. I got no incentive to chong you. Okay? Now, that's one thing, right? Number two, the oldest development here is this thing called Expressions completing 2018. Today is now the 8 years already. I would also argue that of all the 3 properties, this one from a location point of view is the worst, right? It's neither here nor there. Near to KLCC, but not really KLCC. Cannot walk, tapi ada MRT lah nearby. Now, it is also the oldest. And when you look at it dekat sini, the problem with short stay ni is 2 things, I guess. Number 1, as the building becomes older, 2 things will happen. Your rental rate goes up or goes down, guys? As the building becomes older. What do you think? I want to test your knowledge, your logic. Does it go up or does it go down? Your rental rate. Clever. It goes down. Okay? Then, you got one more problem too. Your occupancy rate. Normally, if the building becomes older, does it go up or go down, guys? It also goes down. You see a problem here or not, guys? The rental rate they projected in the first 1 to 2 years most likely will go down after a couple of years. The occupancy rate, even if they use the actual occupancy rate, it can also go down after a couple of years as the building becomes older. There are going to be newer buildings, right? That's why hotel, they've got a rule whereby they refurbish every 7 years to 10 years. Kena refurbish. Kalau tak laku. So far, you guys follow ke? Okay. So this is not a developer problem per se or development problem per se. This is just an industry problem. That's just human nature. People like new things, right? People like new things. People like new property. They will pay a premium to stay in new property. Anything new, anything we hype is going to have very high occupancy rate. Okay. So when you buy something for short stay, you cannot use the same mathematic for 30 tahun. Bukan cakap jangan beli property for short stay, but you cannot use the same math for 30 years. You cannot assume 60% occupancy rate at the price point of RM200 per night for 30 years. Tak mungkin. You memang naif. You are a waterfish if you believe that projection. Okay. What makes sense? Every 3 years, you drop. And if the numbers still look good, after 3 years, you drop occupancy rate, you drop dia punya daily night per rate low, and you are still okay with it, you go ahead and buy. Don't be one of those guys, saya kena scam dengan agent. Agent tu pergi holiday, makan lobster dan apa semua tu. And my property negative cash flow 2,000 satu bulan. So you don't get to blame people for being greedy, right? Right? So bro aja tonight, I'm teaching you tonight. I'm telling you all the industry punya lowdown. I'm giving you like real insight for Penang here. None of this is manufactured. This is proper, Penang punya average rental, Penang punya median dan apa semua tu, proper occupancy rate in KLCC, and we use comparable development because, the property is similar. And again, credit to the developer, right, Exim. If you ask me as of today, they are one of the best performing property right now in KLCC area. So, to be honest, I'm a fan of the developer as far as product is concerned. I believe they produce very decent product. Right? Cuma price point, I think some products are fairly priced. Some product is slightly higher price. And it could be slightly higher price simply because the incentive for the agent is more expensive. Okay? It could be the case. Don't know. What's the real story? We are not part of Exim. We don't know. But for now, in a way, there's a lot of speculation that says that that is the case. So again, you don't care about the agent making 5% ke, 3% ke, or 1%. It doesn't matter to you. The key thing is that, do you understand what you buy? Do you know how to make money from the property that you buy? The agent make 1%, 3%, 5%, doesn't fucking matter to you. Honestly. Right? My job is to educate you so that you don't buy the wrong property. That's it. So these are the things that you should look at before buying in Penang. Number one, understand the concept of tiering. Okay? So for us, the Far Capital, we are not going to pay anything above 800 ringgit per square foot. So it doesn't matter whether tier 1, tier 2, we're not going to pay anything above 800 ringgit per square foot. Okay? We have only bought 2 properties in Penang Island. One is about 700 ringgit per square foot, and the other one is below 450 ringgit per square foot in Penang Island. Both are luxury condo. Not even your middle tier condo. Both are luxury condo. Okay? So that's our price point, right? So we haven't bought anything in mainland as of today because, you know, we find it to be quite stupid lah. Why do I want to buy 550 in Batu Kawan when I can buy Penang Island proper for 450 ringgit per square foot? Does that make sense, guys? So you should only buy mainland, right? If it's cheaper compared to the island. If you can buy island cheaper compared to mainland, why would anyone buy mainland? Does not make sense. Okay, because mainland is not scarce. Penang Island, scarce. Okay. Number one. Number two here is that we only buy premium property because we only want to rent to expats ataupun highly paid locals who are being transferred to Penang. Right? We have no interest to rent to Penang Kia. No offense to our Penang brothers and sisters, but you're not going to pay 4,000 for us to go and justify buying a property at 600,000. My job is to make money for our clients. Betul tak, guys? Right? So I cannot tell them, go buy a 600,000 property, then rent 1,008 because you guys don't want to pay 3,000. Okay? You continue to be smart, no problem. So I need to go find other water fish. Who's the other water fish? Not from Penang. Okay? So we buy luxury property, we put luxury reno, we rent to people who are non-Penang Kia. That's how we get 4,000. Penang Lang will never pay above 3,000 to rent. They will buy one. Betul tak? Because Penang people smart. Okay? The outsider, no choice. They're not going to buy. I have no idea. I'm going to stay here for 3 years, 1 year, out of job after 6 months. Why the fuck should I buy, right? So I'm just going to rent. So they pay lah premium. Itu saja. Okay? Don't later after this do viral post. This guy insult Penang people. Mana teraka, mana ada. I say you are very smart. Very careful with money. Right? Do you know what is interesting or not? Dekat Penang. I got 2 story lah. One story too long for me to go and explain. So I just highlight one story saja. Do you know this product called Maybank House Key? Siapa tahu Maybank House Key? Whereby you bayar step up financing, you bayar interest only saja for the first 5 years. This product langsung tak laku dekat Penang. Because Penang people don't care about cheap installment one. I only pay interest. Don't want. I rather pay full installment. Penang people. Tak laku. This product tak laku langsung dekat Penang. It's a complete failure. Okay. So, again, right? Next slide, please. Okay. So, investment game for Penang, very simple. Capital gain. Okay. Primary demand, we have to go for Penang Island because of scarcity. Right? Comparable to Hong Kong, comparable to Taiwan, comparable to Singapore, easy to sell to non-Malaysians. Right? So again, capital gain, rental yield only 3 to 4% if you buy at the regular price point. Right? So there are a couple of concerns in Penang. One is that rental is actually quite low, especially if you're buying non-tier 1 and then your renovation standard is actually quite bad. Okay? So rental can be quite low. So yield is terrible. Number 2 here is that today there's a lot of developers selling this as a short stay play. But the reality here is that Is there a guarantee short stay can happen for the next 20 years? The answer is no, right? In fact, Penang was the first state to actually ban Airbnb on residential property. All right. So who's to say that there will be no further tightening for non-hotels? Okay. Now, what we recommend for Penang, people looking to invest in Penang, number one, you need to target minimum 5% rental yield. That's the magic number, guys. You need to target minimum 5%, right? Number two, you have to buy at least at 20% below market value, right? So you got to target minimum 5% rental yield and buy 20% below market value. And because Penang owners of property also don't invest beautifying their unit in premium renovation, we recommend doing above average furnishing because your competition is actually quite bad. So because every owner also quite camps up, everything also want to save money. So therefore, the higher quality, bit more generous, good furnishing unit, basically, from a supply POV is actually quite low. Right? We bought in Feringhi. We had a client who bought below 450 per square foot, right? Took him less than 6 weeks to actually rent a unit out at 3,009. This is actual transacted, right? Before we came along and do nice reno in that development, highest rental that we see was 3,002, 3,003. So we are getting close to 30% higher. Yeah, by doing above average furnishing. Look, the market is there. There's a lot of rich people looking to retire in Penang one. Penang is not short of rich people. It's just that the rich people is not from Penang lah. They're not going to rent you 3,500, 4,000. It's rich from elsewhere, love Penang, looking to retire in Penang. Right? So far, does my sharing make sense to all of you? Okay. Yeah, so far we explain logic, why this, right? Why do this, right? Now, for you non-Malaysian, if you're non-Malaysian, please only buy in tier 1 or upper tier 2 areas only. So that means area with very significant expat presence. So that means international community already exists. That's what tier 1 really means. Why? If you are a foreigner, non-Malaysian, you don't want to buy local area because later if you want to sell, locals don't buy from you and foreigner won't also buy because your area is unknown. Okay? You want to buy area that other people, other foreigner also familiar to. Okay? Then you want to buy minimum at 20% discount, 20% below market value. If can, you want to use little to no cash as possible. Right? If you are local especially, or Singaporean looking to buy something in Penang, and you have a job, or a retiree, use 100% loan to go and buy this property. Make sure you get enough discount. Right? The third point, if you end up using capital to go and buy that property in dekat Penang, you need to target minimum 10% annual ROI. So that means whatever capital you put, you must get back at least 10% on any capital that you put. Okay, you should target minimum 5-6% gross rental yield for long-term rental. And again, you need to do above average renovation because the competition in this segment, premium luxury segment, is actually very small in Penang. Right? So there's a lot of competition, let's say above 8,000. So these are your Tanjung Bunga seafront 3,000 square foot. Banyak. Right? And then there's a lot of competition at below 2,005, right? But between the 2,005 to 5,000 is where the competition is very poor as of today. Right? So by doing above average renovation, you can attract the senior executives who got transferred to Penang. Right? Don't want to really rent for 8,000, but can rent 4,000, 4,005. But you need to be good lah. Yeah, good looking. Yeah. Next. Right? So why buy new property? For us, the strategy, we only buy from developer. Right? So either completed or about to be completed property, that's our favorite. Simply because of the capital required lah, right? So for us, we don't want to use money to buy property in Penang, especially if you're a local person with 90% loan, right? So we'd rather buy property with 20% minimum discount, like the deal that we had in Penang is almost 40% cheaper compared to SPA price. So we get about 200,000 cash out when you buy at 90% financing. So our property becomes proper zero down payment. Yeah, our return on investment is infinity. Because don't use any capital to buy, but still can get 100 ringgit positive cash flow every month. Okay, so why buy new? Very straightforward. Use as little capital as possible. If you buy from secondary market auction, you need minimum 20 to 40% capital, depending whether you can get 90% loan or 70% financing. Okay, that's why you want to buy from developer either about to be completed or completed property. Especially for Singaporeans looking to buy something in Malaysia, as of today, you guys can easily get 80 to 90, even all the way to 89% financing. You can easily buy and own property in Malaysia, at least as of today, at least in the beginning of 2026. I don't know until when, but at least as of today, you can actually buy property in Malaysia using little to no capital. So this is, again, our past track record. When we tell people that we are getting 20, 30, 40% discount, this is what we have bought in both Johor Bahru and Penang, right? Just to give you a comparison, because KL is already quite common, right? So if you look at our Johor portfolio, the lowest one is 7%. And the reason why 7%, because that's a landed property in Johor, right? We bought a landed property end of last year, below 350,000, 40% discount, right? Versus SPA, right? So even our landed property can get close to 7% rental return. So that's how crazy when you get enough discount, right? And all of this property are purchased zero down payment. Means down payment don't need to pay. Even for renovation budget, count from the cash out. Does not need to use your actual cash or capital. Okay? So I think our buying strategy, I guess we can skip. I think it's very is getting quite repetitive. So again, if you do this, you're going to be quite okay buying either in Penang, Johor, or KL. Number one, you want to buy property which is completed or about to be complete, minimum 20% discount so that you can get enough cash out to cover the renovation of the property or 90% financing. Number two, if you want to be like us, getting 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% gross rental yield, way above market average, then you have to understand 8 filter. Okay? 8 property filter, because the 8 property filter will allow you to filter bad property versus good ones. So we're going to demonstrate later, right, how to use 8 property filter with the 5 properties we are reviewing tonight, just to give you a sense, right? How does it work? Okay. Last but not least, you buy property, you get sufficient discount, then you're going to get cash out. From the cash out, you go and renovate the unit properly. Because when you renovate your unit properly, people are willing to pay 10, 20, sometimes 40% higher compared to what the average market is asking. Right? Long story short, when everything looks like shit and your unit looks good, you can command any price. Because you have the only inventory that looks this good. Okay? By the way, it's very common for our client's property to have massage chair. Massage chair. Your property got massage chair not? Tak ada kan? Why? Because you got no money to buy massage chair. Actually, our clients also don't have money to buy massage chair, but they use cash out. So kita guna duit bank untuk beli massage chair and dapat 20% higher rental. Faham how we do it? Okay. Buy BMV, make sure cover A filter to get above average rental yield, and then use cash out to renovate the unit properly. This is how we actually buy cheaper, by the way. The reason why we can buy cheaper from developer, why we can buy below 450 ringgit per square foot in Penang Island last year and this year is because, well, we bought close to about 100 units. So we get a very hefty discount. So last time developer was selling this unit 800 ringgit per square foot. So now, after many years of trying to sell, cannot sell, and because we buy a lot, we are able to go and get below 450 per square foot. Okay, so if you want to buy property completely below market, cheaper than everyone else, even cheaper than local Penang, this one I'm very proud. Cause my client, non-Penang fella, can buy cheaper than most Penang. At 450 ringgit per square foot is the cheapest luxury condo, not low-cost housing, that you can buy in the whole of Penang Island in the last 10 years. And my client, not even from Penang, to be able and to go this. Why? Because again, we've got the bulk purchase discount. We're able to get very significant additional discount. You buy one unit, you pay retail price. You buy 50 to 100 unit, you get a completely different price point. And just like durian lah. You buy satu biji, Blackthorn, Musang King, you kena bayar premium. You buy one whole lorry, the price per kilo becomes very, very cheap. Okay? That's how we are able to go and buy cheapest in the Penang Island last 10 years for luxury condo, by the way, at below 450 per square. Freehold some more. So how do we know our 8 filter works? Like I said, these are just sample of cash flow, right? What we are able to go and accomplish. And again, I guess we are quite consistent. I buy in KL, I buy in Selangor, I buy in Negeri Sembilan, I buy in Johor, I buy in Penang, and my result remains the same. I get way higher rental, I get far better rental yield, right? And we are getting positive cash flow despite taking 100,000, 200,000, sometimes 300,000 cash out. Why? Again, when you understand 8 property filter, you're not going to buy bad property. You will only buy good ones. So again, if you're looking to buy anything in 2026, either in Penang or any other market for that matter, I think it's worthwhile spending 2 hours to go and watch our complimentary video talking about 8 property filter. I'm not sure whether we have the link tonight dekat sini in the next slide ataupun tidak, but if don't have, then team, can you please put the link dekat bahagian chat? So please go and watch. You got a couple of these leave, next 1 week, I think a lot of people not working, right? So cuti and apa semua tu. Spend the 2 hours, especially if you are looking to buy a property in 2026. Because if you want to get way above average rental yield, you want to get positive cash flow, you kena faham 8 property filter. There you go. Christina just posted the link. So again, complimentary is almost 2 hours video. We explain why. What is in the 8 property filter, how and what, why is it important? Go and watch it, right? Next. Because once you understand 8 property filter, no agent, no property developer, not even me can scam you into buying a bad property. No one can. And again, I've used this in Penang, Nilai, Johor, Perak, KL, Selangor, result, same. Same. No exception. So I know it works. So please invest the time. It's only 2 hours. It is free, right? A lot of people say, right? A lot of loser, sour people will tell you this. If you know something good, why share it with everyone? That's why you are poor. Rich people are actually quite generous. I met a lot of billionaires. They're actually very happy to go and share knowledge. But you have to be deserving to be taught, right? Because they don't want to waste time. Okay, I teach this for free, right? So that people buy safer property, number one. Number two, developer also build property that is safe for you to go and buy. Okay, so go and watch it. It's free, guys, right? You got nothing to lose, right? And that 2 hours, I think, will allow you to be scam proof forever from buying the wrong property, right? The whole filter, right? But anyway, we summarize it into star rating. Okay, star rating. If you want to buy property that can give you cash flow using our 8 property filter, just remember this thing. You want to find 3 star and above if you want to get positive cash flow. Yeah, for cash flow rating. If you want to get capital gain, if you don't want to lose money, again, 3 star and above for capital gain. 2 star, 1 star means it's negative cash flow, is confirm rugi, guys. Kalau nak jual, because you are overpaying. Okay, I cannot make this simple enough for you. Okay, so if you want positive cash flow of a few hundred ringgit, you need to find 4-star and above. Okay, unfortunately in Penang, 4-star, 5-star cash flow property does not exist. Because why? Penang is for capital gain, not for cash flow. Okay, so these are 8 property filter. Again, I've already forwarded you the link, right? Dekat situ, go and watch it. Otherwise, go to our YouTube channel. Just Google the Faizul Ridzuan punya property filter. Again, free, right? Almost 2 hours worth of a lot of deep information there. That's going to be useful for you. All right. So this is to highlight to you why you want to invest a little bit in proper renovation, right? So again, right, use any renovation company that you want, right? But as long as you renovate your unit nice, then you get to rent at 30 to 40% higher. Okay. The example, this is OUG, right? Other people renting their unit at 3.5, we are getting 5,004. This is transacted, guys. And this is how our unit looks like. Okay. This is how our unit looks like. Okay. Average public get 3.5, we're getting 5,004. Again, did my client use their own money to go and renovate this? Not at all, because while we're buying this property above 30% discount, they're getting 200,000 cash out to buy this property. So therefore, they can use 80 to 90,000 to renovate the unit properly like this. Less than a month tenanted at a record high rental. This is in Bukit Bintang. So again, public other units are renting at 4,500 because they don't have sufficient cash out. Unit don't look as nice. We are getting 6,000. So we're getting close to about 35% higher compared to market average. This is in Johor, right? Per se tak laku. Now, this unit, long term 4,002. If you do room rental, can get 5,005. You do Airbnb, can get all the way to 12,000. And this is a 3+1 bedroom unit, by the way. And look at how nice is the unit, right? Renovation budget, almost 150,000. Cash out, 350,000. Because we bought this property almost 70% discount, not 17, 70. So when our clients bought, they got 300,000 cash out. This particular client actually invests a lot of money to renovate this unit, almost 150K. But he's doing Airbnb, it's worthwhile because he's getting 200,000 a year. Okay. See, we don't highlight Airbnb. Don't need. This is a Maluri. So again, public getting 3,000, we're getting 4,008. This is an Equine. Public getting 1,006, 1,007, we're getting all the way to 2,002 transacted. Again, 30 to 40% higher. And this is in Bukit Jelutong. Public is actually about 2,005. We're getting more than 4,000. Again, we're getting rental from expatriate tenants from Arab, right? Dekat Bukit Jelutong, right? And they are willing to pay 4,000. Because the units are nice, we got no other competition. Everyone is shit, right? So this one is our latest property, dekat Hartamas, right? Same thing, we're getting 30% higher. Next slide, please. Right? And this is our latest dekat Penang. This is in Feringgi, right? Public 27, maximum 35, we're getting 39. So versus the average, we're getting 30% higher. So again, no exception even in Penang. So buy low enough, make sure you have sufficient cash out, renovate your unit properly, use a property filter, you will get result macam ni whereby you get above average rental yield, you got above average cash flow, right? And on top of that, yeah, you are buying at way below market. Okay. Medini, JB ada lagi tak? Unit yang sama tak ada, tapi kita akan ada unit baru dekat Johor yang kita akan launch minggu depan. Our first Johor launch in 1 year's time, and it's the cheapest property you can buy today at just 300 over 1,000, and it's 70% LTV friendly. Kita punya deal mantap-mantap ni. Yeah. Next slide please. Fully furnished pula tu. So tak payah nak bayar banyak lah untuk renovation. It depends on your objective lah guys, as a purchaser, right? You can set goal if your goal is to buy one good property, right? So I think that's a good goal to have. But if you want to win repeatedly, whether in Penang, in KL, in Selangor, Johor, then you need to have proven system. Does that make sense, guys? Right? So what we have today is a system that works. It works in Negeri Sembilan, works in Selangor, works in KL, works in Penang, works in Johor. Okay, so tonight you learn about Penang, right? So this is how to win in Penang, right? Jangan overpay versus tier, right? And all of that. But if you want to win everywhere, every time you buy something, you need to have a system. So tonight we provide you the guideline for Penang. Of course, you go to Johor, it's different numbers, right? So I'm at the end of my part of the first part of the presentation. Then we're gonna go to the property comparison. How do you use 8 property filter to go and see through property good or bad? Okay. So with that, I think who's presenting tonight?
Zakri and Albee.
Okay, fire away, guys.
Thank you, Faizul. Hi everybody, Zakri here. So today we are reviewing few property based on the context today. We're not talking about everything in the area, but we're here to show based on the hot picks property in the area, which is Penang, right? So without further ado, these are the properties we are reviewing tonight. Blossom at Tanjung Bunga. Second is Keepers. One of the famous also in Glugo side by the famous developer in not only in Penang, in many states also in Kelantan today we can see Exim. Third one is Lumina in Georgetown. Maris by A&O near the Tanjung Tokong side, near the Gurney side. And last but not least is Q3, Queen's Residence Waterfront in Bayan Lepas lah, right? So the first one is Blossom Suites at Tanjung Bunga. Next slide. And these are the infos for Blossom Suites. Can screenshot here, but roughly you may see the layout sizing, targeting from the smallest about 500 square feet up to the biggest one, duplex, about 2,800 square feet unit size lah. So those are facilities down there. Location wise, located at Tanjung Bunga. I would say this area is considered tier 1 Penang area lah, right? A lot of expats also live in this vicinity near Gurney, Tanjung Bunga, Tanjung Tokong, up to Batu Ferringhi side lah, right? So can say it's expat interest area to buy, especially for own stay purpose here lah, right? So next slide. And this is the marketing POV for Blossom Suites. First thing first is commercial title. Hence, the buyer will be able to do Airbnb, right? So not tied to the residential Airbnb restriction too lah, right? So next, foreign friendly property. So for some units, foreign can buy due to its price above the minimum threshold for Penang. Luxury modern design can be considered modern in Tanjung Bunga, alright, and it's freehold, which quite fair and quite normal to see the development in Penang is freehold, right? So again, we're gonna go to our property rating later about what is the verdict looking at this kind of property commercial title that you can do Airbnb, but located at the premium address, especially those yang macam ni lah, like tier 1 area and apa semua, right? So next slide. So this is the investment POV. Pricing wise, roughly about 920 ringgit PSF. Hence, you can see some units is foreign friendly units lah, right? Where we can see the comparable median price, roughly about close to the launching price of this development, which we think it's quite fair, but not really below market value lah, right? For rental comparison in the area, yes, Tanjung Bunga is known as expat area where we can see quite a lot of rental asking quite high in the area, right? Where we think the rental strategy should be focused more on the long term instead of the short term together, right? So first kali adalah we can see rental close up to about 9 to 10K, right? From about 8,000 lah on a comparable developments nearby the vicinity, right? And mortgage wise, you can see, you can compare to the rental is actually not that bad, looking at quite a good cash flow, right? But one concern here is when this development targeting short-term rental, it might make the development less exclusive, right? Because those people who are willing to pay 8, 9,000, 10,000 rental Normally, they want to stay in exclusive property, not really to stay in the same development that running Airbnb, right? So these are the concern that should be highlighted for this particular development, lah, right? So this is our star rating. Not gonna go into details of every each. You can always watch our A property filter in our YouTube channel. But for this, looking at the capital gain rating dekat bawah sekali, at the bottom part, at 2.8 star and cash flow about 3.6 star. So this star rating have to put the consideration of the best consideration of possible capital gain in terms of how much you buy below market value or below market price, and how safe is your price that you enter, etc. Right? So for cash flow wise, it's considering how premium the rental gotta be in this premium location. But again, back to the concern, one concern is when you're targeting to do short-term rental, it might cause your property to become less exclusive compared to other development in this particular area or this particular address. So Tanjung Bunga is well known as one of the exclusive address in Penang, especially we are talking about tier 1 Penang address, lah, right? So these are the verdict for a property filter for Blossom Suites, right? So next property, we're looking at Keepers, one of the hot properties as well as of today in Penang, the Z series of Exim, lah. So this property is located at Gelugo area, can be considered as tier 1 as well. And just FYI, Gelugo address can be considered as old money area in Penang, lah, right? Quite premium address too. And that's the reason why Gelugo is part of tier 1 Penang, lah. So again, not gonna go into details, can screenshot, but roughly the layout looking from close to 500 square foot for 1+1 bedroom, also to dual key unit for about 580 square feet unit size. And those are the other infos, lah, right? You guys can screenshot for these Keepers. And this is a marketing POV for Keepers. Master plan with township and more. They have this PWCC, Penang Waterfront Convention Center, right? As part of the master plan as well in the area. Strategic location, not too far from the bridge, as well as the access near to the main road and also master plan, right? And also near to the future LRT stations. Last but not least is Airbnb friendly. Again, they are the property that targeting Airbnb as a part of rental strategy in Penang. So this is an investment POV. Pricing wise, roughly close to about 1001 PSF. Hence, you can see some unit where we can compare, we can see the comparable layout, roughly about above the median, which we can see the median in the comparable area about 900 ringgit-ish PSF, and not really on, and this particular development punya price is not really below market value, right? And for rental comparison in the area, we can see quite a lot of rental asking in a quite big range, right? From 2005 up to about 6,000. From our POV, depends on the exclusivity of the development, because again, this is considered, Gelugo is considered the furthest tier 1, located next to upper tier 2 area already, right? So this kind of rental range is quite normal. Depending on the development is how exclusive and how premium is the development. Even located in the same area, it might command different kind of rental rate lah, right? So looking at the mortgage, roughly about 3.4 up to about 3.7K for dual key unit. And looking at the potential break even for the cash flow, even some positive cash flow lah. If you are looking at the normal and conservative numbers, it might be have to top up a bit, right? Again, when you are looking at this particular rental strategy, it might be less exclusive. Where we are talking about short-term rental, it might make the development less exclusive. Same goes to the previous property, whereby those people who are willing to pay on the higher rental on this particular area, for example, higher rental, premium rental up to about 6K, normally they don't want to stay in the same development that running Airbnb, right? It will make the development looks less premium and less exclusive, right? Hence is one of the concern that should be highlighted as well for this particular development. So again, this is star rating, not gonna go into details of every each, but for this, looking at the capital gain rating at 3.5 star and cash flow about 3.8 star. And this star rating have to put the consideration of the best possible in terms of how below market that you are buying. So again, for this particular one, it's not really lower compared to the area median price lah, right? So we do compare, we do consider how safe is your price booster coming to the area, etc. Right? So you can see the capital gain star rating better compared to the previous one is due to again the booster of the master plan, number one, and second is also the infra coming to the area, which is LRT, right? And for cash flow, considering how premium the rental gotta be, and this tier, uh, in this tier one location, also targeting the MRO lah, which is multiple rental option. You can see the fourth criteria in a property filter, with upcoming infra that might support best rental uh, in the future time. But again, one concern is when you target to do short-term rental, it might cause your property become less exclusive compared to other development in the area, right? People willing to go and pay premium rental if your property is premium enough, lah, right? Okay, so I think I pass the floor to Albee to review on the next property.
So, hi guys, I'll be here. So we continue with the presentation with the balance tree today. So, but just to, I saw one Q&A, one interesting one. I just want to correct some, not to correct, just answer the Q&A about the one Tanjong comparable for Blossom Suites. So, that's not really comparable because one Tanjong is considered super condo. Size is kind of big. It's about close to 4,000 to 5,000 square feet. That's why in terms of the 8 property filter cash flow rating, you guys can see that we rated for Blossom Suite is relatively low, even though it looks positive because we have considered the size. That's why we just want to justify about why the cash flow rating is lower for Blossom Suite in terms of the rental, even though it looks positive cash flow, but in terms of if you compare to size to size is not really, because it's almost 1/3 of the size of the one Tanjong itself. Because the bigger size you can look into the Blossom Suite, that is 3 bedrooms, not considered penthouses, it's about 1,005 square feet. Okay, so we are going to continue the presentation with Lumina, which is located in the heart of Georgetown. So this is Lumina. You can screenshot the details over here. It's 596 units freehold. So basically, this layout only have one layout, which is 3 bedder, 1,002 up to 1,005 square feet. So completion is 2027, meant for luxury, low density. So facing towards the city view or towards the sea view over the other side of the Georgetown or Gurney area lah. So basically, those facing towards the sea view already taken up. So currently left with the city view mainly. So this is the marketing point of view for about this Lumina. So it's located in half of Georgetown, near to international school, hospitals. So you guys are aware as well. Penang is quite famous for their medical tourism. So this is located quite in the heart of Georgetown as well. Foreigner friendly with family size, and something interesting is they come with a super big balcony. So definitely is targeting for foreign type, because if you know about how honky or like Hong Kong people like about Penangs, they will prefer something that's facing towards sea view and also big balcony, because that was mainly meant for own stay or holiday homes. So this is why if you look back into Penang markets, you can see a lot of foreign buyers actually buying into this area, despite of the capital gain or high prices in the area. Okay, so low density and luxury design is one of the selling point they are selling for Lumina. So, okay, so we go into the investment details. So currently this one is 960 per square foot. Probably in Penang market today, most of the project today, you probably have to pay down payments, meaning their rebate structure is lesser. So some will only come with 5%. For example, Blossom Street is only 5%, Keepers is 10%. Lumina, you have to pay 1%. Okay, so making the net price for today is 960 per square foot. So if you want to compare, I would say the newest that are having transaction in area is Tropicana 218 Macalistas. This one is actually hotel suites as well. So it's 1,179 per square foot. If you don't want to compare to this kind of considered branded in the area, if you look at the Georgetown, even though the property might be close to 20 years old, they are able to transact up to 800 per square foot, driving this Georgetown transaction prices is relative highs as well. So not to compare to all those too old, too big sizes for Lumina, I have trying to get a much more comparable sizes so I can get these cantonments. Their 3-bedder is about 4,000 rental. Their 3+1 is close to 6,500. So their 3-bedder is similar to the Lumina size, which is about 1,002 square feet to 1,005. So it's if you look at mortgage today, if I wanted to buy Lumina, your mortgage is about 4,008. So the cash flow would not be that great, but cantonment is almost 8 years old 8 years old property lah. So if you big balcony layout, I believe they are still going to be relative decent for the rental when it was BP later on. For own stay. Because of the location and also the design for this Lumina. So this is how it justify the prices and booster. So Georgetown is relative mature market today. If you wanted to talk about the upsize, we can't really compare to like Gurney area. We can only talk about or just basically about Georgetown. So it's a mature market, Airbnb tourism focus. Okay, supply and demand is 3.3. We have quite a number of supplies coming out in Georgetown as well. Multiple rental options is going to be luxury own stay vibes. Cash flow 3 USB 3s. Okay, hence with return of capital gain and return of capital cash flow with justify with the down payment you have to put up lah. Okay, it summarized the capital gain rating for this property is 3.1, the cash flow rating is 3.3. So that's for Lumina. So we go with the next property, which is Queen's Residence, their third phases, Q3 waterfront at Bayan Lepas. So this one is the one near to the mall lah. Okay, so number of units today is 532 units. It's a freehold. Their size, their smaller is 950 square feet. This is a dual K. So it's a 2+1 bedroom. And the other side is 3-bedder, ranging from 1,000 to 1,004 square feet. So completion is 2027. Okay, so about this Queen's waterfront series. So basically, I guess you guys are quite familiar when people talk about buying for Bayan Lepas, you know, you can get positive cash flow, something exception that you can get in Penang. Probably is something that talking about this waterfront series. So basically from their Q1, Q2, they are performing quite well. This is why I would say when I go through all the brochures and also websites, they can like proudly or put it up, grid RI return with proven record in their website or even agent saying to me lah. Okay, so strategic location near to malls and near to the Penang Second Bridge. Okay, dual key layout available and also consider they put it as a luxury layout lah. Okay, so in terms of prices today, net per square foot, you're buying about close to 930 per square foot up to 1,000. So if you're talking about median, that's why I would say people are saying, hey, this is something exception in Bayan Lepas, you can make money. Because if you look back into their first and second series, the transaction price is about 1,030 per square foot up to there are some transactions close to 1,001 per square foot. Okay, so this is why, because in the rental, if you look at Queen 1, 2-bed, 2-bath, 3,003 up to 4,002. If you compare to their mortgage today, you wanted to buy, okay, your mortgage is about 3,006. So with the maintenance fee, you are still making positive cash flow. That's why people are saying this Q1, Q2 series, you know, is something exception. You can make positive cash flow. But you have to know, bear in mind is when they are launched for Q1 and Q2 series, the price is different from today's market. Today's is already at 930 per square foot. But when you buy their series back then, it's about close to 700 or 650 per square foot only. So people were saying, arguing that, oh, this is already at a peak price, you know. But if you purely talking about rental, this is the, I would say the details that would justify how the market runs for today. So the price, comparing to the O3, that's why it's given a 2-star booster with malls up front of Bayan Lepas with the industrial park, okay, work opportunities, that's why it's given a 5-star, supply and demand is 4-star because there's plenty of supply in Bayan Lepas, especially for consider affordable housing as well. There's also a lot in Bayan Lepas. Cash flow is 4, okay. Capital gain, return of capital gain and return of cash flow, why is it 2 and 3-star? Because for this waterfront series, you have to put 9% down payment for this lah. So this justifies the capital gain is 3.5, cash flow is 4.1 for Q3 waterfront. So the last one we have today is Maris and Andaman Island. So basically this is a reclaimed land series near to Gurney. Okay, so they have named it as Andaman Island. So this is the details of the of the project. So it's 506 units as freehold. So their size layouts is smaller, it's 997 square feet. Other layouts up to 1,003. So basically we have probably review 5 different property in 5 different area in Penang today. So you can see the layout being introduced today, mainly in more prime area. They are trying to launch at the biggest size because which is correlated with the data that we have presented in the very first, which is the very important slide about size and also layout transacted in Penang market that is above 800 or 1,002 per square feet. So basically you can see today markets more friendly to be sell off, is probably the 3-bedder layout, big sizes lah, okay, which is correlated to this tier 1 series they have been launching. It's all big size, not that small size been launched. So Blossom is one of exception. They have been small size range to big sizes. Okay, so this is the details. You guys can screenshot it. So we come to the marketing point of view. This is fully furnished lah. So basically, you probably can enter with free mind from the past series. Prime location, foreigner friendly. This is near to Gurney. Frontier Sea View. Okay, this is the considered unblocked as for now lah. Okay, if you buy in Gurney or Georgetown, you probably have some block sea view, but Andaman is considered unblocked now because they are the more frontier reclaimed land series by well-known developer by E&O. Okay, so this is the details. Net per square foot is about 980 per square foot. Andaman quayside transaction, there's only 2 transactions recorded, 1,230, 1,002 per square foot lah. Okay, so if you look at the rental comparable, their 1-bedders is 900 plus square feet. So it's actually similar size to this 2-bed. So 3,800 to 4,000. So which is correlatively similar with the mortgage you have to pay lah. So you couldn't say you really make positive cash flow because the size was similar in terms of renting out. So that is about the details. So we go into 8 property filter. So in terms of price, it's just giving 3-star, booster 3-star because Andaman Island is something is still new for now. If you want to talk about, there's a lot of working opportunities, maturity of it. I would say there's still a lot of things to come out and it's uncertain as for now. It's not as busy as compared to Gurney. Okay, not that happening. Okay, so supply and demands is 3.1. There's few series coming out in Andaman itself. Multiple rental options is only meant for targeted whole unit. Cash flow is 3, USP is 3, return of capital gain is 2-star. So it summarized the capital gain rating for Maris Andaman is a 3.1, cash flow is just 3.3. So I would say is merely I would say fair for both size lah, and in terms of capital gain and also cash flow rating. Okay, so that's for our 5 series that we reviewed today from different location, ranging for different sizes. So we have targeted for locals and also foreigner friendly, and together with Airbnb market, which is 3 different rental option we look into investment market today, why people are buying into Penangs lah. Okay, so I think that's all for our review. So if people are curious about what we are doing in terms of fund capitals, what we are going with, and why are we so confident with our 8 property filters and what we are buying like below market value. So we actually have 2 different projects in Penang. So we can review only the code name, not the real name, because we have signed NDA. So basically we're buying Farah in tier 1s. The prices is 410 per square foot. Probably I would say the cheapest you can find in Penang Islands for something is new lah. Okay, that's why the price wise, booster wise is actually kind of a lot, especially for the capital gain. Despite the cash out you got at the front places, but you are buying something that's 410 per square foot, cheaper than I would say affordable houses in Penang today. So the second one we have is on the upper tier 2. Okay, this is ZZ. So this one is from 720 per square feet. So this is a master plan township. So that's why the booster is 5%. Okay, for the star rating lah, and also for the capital gain for in terms of what is going to come out for the LRT station and things going to happen in this upper tier 2 area. Okay, so that's about our review for today. Without further ado, maybe you can call along all the panelists. We have quite a number of Q&A to go through today.
All right. Thank you, Albee, for the sharing, and also Zakri and Efa during their presentations earlier. So we hope everyone here learned something new and beneficial tonight. Now it's time for us to answer your questions. I invite all the panelists, FR and maybe Zakri also, to join the Q&A session. So if you guys have any questions, kindly send it in the Q&A section, bukan chat box, alright? As we will go through your questions by sequence. So, yep. FR, are we good to continue with the Q&A?
Let's go. But I think before that, I probably want to ask a question to people here. Do you think buying into a development that is fully furnished actually is a positive thing or negative thing? What do you guys think? Do you think it's advantageous to buy something with fully furnished or no? Okay, now, there are a couple of POV, ada yang cakap positif, ada yang cakap negatif. Now, for us, looking at the facts and data is almost, right? I would argue 90% of the time, you shouldn't buy fully furnished developments ever. Right? Because why? You got no differentiating factor. In fact, Far Capital, we've got a policy, if the property is fully furnished, under construction, kita memang takkan beli. So the only time, for example, like our latest Johor deal, it comes with a 4-star international hotel operator. So unit memang datang fully furnished. But even then, we make sure that we are buying at sufficient discount so that the client can still do minor renovation to ensure the unit looks unique. Sebab, can you imagine buying into a development yang ada 500 unit, every unit looks the same. You have zero differentiating factor. If you are a good investor and you are a bad one, you don't have an advantage as a good investor. Faham tak? Because your unit looks the same. No matter how you say, no matter what you talk, your unit looks the same. Right? So, if you are very skilled, having it fully furnished does not give you any form of additional advantage. It gives you a disadvantage. If you are completely not skilled, then okay lah, you believe, you know, you're going to have unit that looks standard as per someone else. You takkan ketinggalan, tapi you actually don't have any advantage. Alright? So, I would say, most of the time, you should avoid buying into a fully furnished development. Yeah, kalau I negotiate with property developers, I always tell them, don't need to give me furniture, just give me extra discount. Just give my client additional cash out. Right? To ensure that we can renovate better than what is being provided. Okay. Unit that comes fully furnished, what I notice is that very poor capital gain. After a while, cash flow teruk gila. Because after the first round maintenance tu koyak kan, rental jatuh teruk. Okay, so just bear in mind lah. This is after 20 years of watching multiple developments doing fully furnished student accommodation, sama je. Especially student accommodation. Hotel pun sama juga. All this Airbnb dan apa semua tu. Okay. The reason kenapa kita boleh dapat a premium is simply because our unit looks better compared to the neighbor who has no idea what to do with the unit. Right? So if you have some level of knowledge, right? If you have attended tonight, you don't want to buy into a fully finished development. Okay? Just, I thought lah, tadi bila dengar cerita all unit come fully furnished, I think you guys should know. Right? So I think we've discussed 5 developments tonight. These are all newly launched. The one that we bought is not in the list simply because it's not newly launched. It's not hottest being discussed. In fact, it's hardly being discussed because far capital clients are just quietly buying lah. There's no discussion anywhere, I think. There's nothing to discuss. Habis dah. Tak tahu dah habis dah. So we buy cheap, we buy below market, we cannot comment on it, we cannot disclose how much we are buying unless to clients saja. Right, which is why we cannot discuss it. So, but yeah. Okay, let's go with the Q&A. I see a lot of good questions. So I think the people attending from Penang are all quite, quite savvy. No basic questions. Thought
Right.
can sleep early tonight, boleh tengok bola.
All right. So let's go through the first question we have from Kim Wah. So the question is, if Penang overall looking at only own stay home ownership purchase, would that be a less supply in rental long-term and also short-term rental market? Can we become the minority investors to see this as an opportunity?
I think that's one way to look at it, right? There's definitely one way to look at it. I don't know about Penang having little investor. I think the number of people buy for investment in Penang is a lot. But they're not buying to maximize cash flow. They all buy with a similar, with this concept. Okay. They are all buying with this concept. I'm just going to buy, I buy cash. I'm just going to rent at whatever rental because the price will go up. So I don't think there's a shortage of people who are investing in Penang. It's just the style of investing is very different. Dia tak peduli pasal negative cash flow because they buy cash. And then Penang has got one very unique advantage. What is a unique advantage of Penang? No, not land scarcity. Is there? Tapi the one is everyone know. CTC everyone know. This one advantage tak ada orang tahu. Or people don't realize it. That advantage is Penang has got no real hater. Tak ada orang tak suka Penang, I would say. Either people are going to be quite neutral at it or people actually quite love Penang. So when people love Penang, there's this thing called emotional value, tau guys. It's just because I like Penang. I like the kway teow there. I like the nasi kandar. For whatever reason, I just like Penang. Penang always make people feel good. The only thing people don't like about Penang is during public holiday, everywhere is jam. You have to queue everywhere. Itu saja. Makan semua lambat. Betul lah. So Penang, local Penang tak suka lah. Memang benci lah yang kita datang-datang pergi cuti sekolah. So because it's very likable, right? So people love it from an emotional POV, right? I don't mind retiring in Penang. Therefore, it adds one more element of about, no matter, just buy lah because one day I could potentially retire here. You guys understand what I'm trying to say? Unlike, for example, Medini, people don't buy Medini because, oh, I love Medini. Oh my God. I love the fact there's no Grab here. I love the fact there's only one mamak that opens at night, no? So no one likes Medini. But people will buy Medini because why? No choice. Singapore too expensive. So there's a positive motivation towards the property market and then there's an external pressure, right? So Medini is not likable. Medini is, I got no choice. I'm too poor to be in Singapore. Let me just stay in Johor. But Penang is a place whereby I don't know if Albee minds to stay in Penang. I certainly don't mind staying in Penang. Zach doesn't mind staying in Penang. William doesn't mind staying in Penang. You know what I mean? Penang is just that guy that everyone likes. Right? So you've got one group of people who will probably in their 40s buy something in Penang. Don't know whether I will retire in Penang ataupun tak. I'll just buy. I don't care about renting because one day I might stay there. You understand? No? When you have that philosophy of one day I can stay there, I'm going to be very loose towards my criteria of making money. I don't care so much about making money because I love Penang. You know, it's like you take a lower salary job because I love the boss or I love the company. Right? Just like, Albee here, Zach, you can see, they are lovable faces, William, right? despite being paid, slightly below market average, dia senyum datang Sunday night, doing webinar, smiley face, waktu bonus pun dah dekat dah ni guys, so dia tengah negotiate. So tu sebab paling utama lah, dia orang senyum kan. But you know what I'm trying to say, right? So you are willing to let go certain things, right? You tak berkira sangat on certain things because you like the place or you like that person, right? So Penang has got that charm. So I don't know how to explain it, but that charm come with a premium because a lot of people like the area. So there'll be a premium always when it comes to the price. It will never, fall below certain price point because Penang has always got a charm. Singaporean like Penang, Taiwanese like Penang, Hongki also like Penang. Siapa tak suka Penang, guys? Right?
If I may add, the best looking of it is to see what is the overall market to the area is. So far, for Penang context is capital gain lah. That's the main one, right? Because we can't deny that Penang property purchasing mainly coming from home ownership purchase, right? So this is also one of the indicator why we see very, very high transaction in some area like super premium address in Penang that we cannot see in other area like KLCC, JB, Bukit Bintang ke, that's happening in Penang, right? And these people, these non-Malaysians that make the property prices go that high, right? We cannot deny that. So if you're trying to against the market, what market is today, you might lose halfway, right? Because by time more and more supply of this particular layout that you're mentioning is coming, that point of time, if you are saying you are those minority as of today, by the point of time, once a lot of supply coming in, you are not the minority already, right? And it's gonna make you even harder to go and exit still, right? Because upcoming investors might as well they just go and enter those newer property that might have that might have better performance in the future time compared to your property that you want to exit, right? So why you should go for your property to go and buy in the future time lah, right? So again, Penang ni memang different animal. So you cannot deny that this is or whatever cash flow that you are looking at, the prices keep going up. It's not because of the investment punya perspective. It's because of the sentimental value that this area is giving.
Right? You've got that I like Penang premium. I don't know how to justify it, right? You hardly see a Penang hater. Okay, next.
Right. So next we have question from Shahir Rafiq. Salam Tuan, I miss the early days of Bayan Lepas when prices were below 600 per square foot. Now everything looks like 800 PSF. Is there still upside with all the industrial parks and township development, or have I already missed the growth curve?
I would argue as far as new story is concerned, Bayan Lepas punya story is looking quite promising. I still think Bayan Lepas is probably the closest thing there is. Tier 2 of Penang to jump tier to become tier 1. So, you got very significant number of job creation, commercially speaking, largest, small, convention center and apa semua tu. So the story is looking quite good, and it's also nearby the airport, and the airport is currently being upgraded. So I can, with all this positive news, right? So in order property value to go up, you need more positive news, right? So then you got this story of higher value jobs being created in the area juga. So higher value jobs means higher income means higher budget of rental property and apa semua tu. So I think there's room. Cuma, the question here is that when it comes to Bayan Lepas, you have to be very careful of one thing and one thing. Okay? Are you paying a fair price per square foot for a medium level property, or you are paying a fair price per square foot for luxury property? Our strategy kat Bayan Lepas is very different compared to Feringi. Feringi, we buy the cheapest thing there is because everything in Feringi is memang Yahudi lah harga dia. Mahal nak mampus. It's 900 to 1,000, so we end up buying the cheapest. Our strategy in Bayan Lepas, we buy the best property there, and we don't pay the cheapest, but we buy the best. Because we want to attract who? the best possible tenant who's getting paid 20 to 30,000 under this new economy, who is comfortably going to pay you 3,500, 4,000, 5,000, no problem. Or even the company will pay for it. All right. So that's why I think, like I said, for Ringgit, we buy the cheapest in tier 1. For tier 2, we buy the most highest end luxury, no competition dekat sana. Because we don't want to compete with all the poorer owners in Bayan Lepas. You know, so basically there's a lot of mass market condominium high-rise dekat Bayan Lepas. We don't want to compete. We want to play the best because so far, everywhere we go, either the cheapest or the best works for us. So we miss out the boat on the cheapest dekat Bayan Lepas. So today we buy the best and we buy at a fair price point. So we buy like the highest spec condominium we can find, tapi we pay at mass market punya spec per square foot. So we did not pay the premium of being a high end. So we think it's gonna do quite well, right? My team was like so impressed with the property. It was the only property that we nicknamed Property Wangi, because it smells like a hotel. And it's a regular high-end condominium. So my team has never done a review. And, you know, we've seen 50, hundreds of properties like that in the last 3-4 years. It's the only time they come back to me with, boss, property ni wangi. I had such a good feeling about the property. So even though, you know, we typically don't pay that much, but because of this particular feedback, and we've done quite well dekat Monkera, buying the best. And we've got like the best renter, right? So if Sean was here today, we buy the best property. We didn't buy cheap. We bought 870 ringgit per square foot 5-6 years ago. It was hardly cheap, but it was the best location. It was the best property. And today the rental per square foot is the highest in the whole of Monkera. It's the only one at 7 ringgit per square foot. So we like to play, either we buy the cheapest if we have the opportunity, or we buy the best at the fair price point. So don't buy the best property at the best, most highest price point to memang mati lah. Right? So yeah. We like to play that kind of game. So the Bayan Lepas punya game is that we buy the best property kat sana. And we pay a fair price point. I think we pay 700 ringgit per square foot for the best property kat sana.
Right. So next up, we have question from Yen Ho Ui. I recently came across a township project called Sands at PICC. May I ask if Far Capital is familiar with that project? And if yes, may I request for a short review on it based on the 8 property filter? Anyway, thank you very much for the very good information and sharing provided up until now. Definitely learned something tonight.
I think, Zach, Albee, this is for you guys, since you guys are part of the research team. I don't know if William wants to comment too.
Very familiar.
Very familiar.
Very, very familiar. Property filter too, it actually depends on what price that you're looking at lah. That's not the property punya salah, but dia akan jadi property tu punya salah if your price that you're entering is wrong, right? So it depends. Again, you can enter the same property at a good price at the public price, but if you are looking at way above market value or way above what you should pay, you might lose halfway lah. So yeah.
I think I can add a little bit on because this property is kind of very hot today in Bayan Lepas because with their master plan township RT coming up and by one of the well-known developer lah. So this developer basically, when I talk to my foreign client in Hong Kong, they know this developer. Basically, they advertise this in their country as well. So it is considered quite a luxury condos. Many people buy for own stays as well. Even though despite this is in Bayan Lepas, this is more a premium condo that you can find. So when we talk about a property filter, it always starts out with the rental yield because it's investment, right? You talk about prices, how much you buy below the median, how much of capital gain you can get in the future. So first is the price that you enter. Second is the rental yield that will be coming up with with things that you would be looking on. So when you are talking about these CC for the master plan townships, that's why people are considering, am I buying for the upskills price? Because this is a township and because it's near to with the one RT station coming up. So cut short is really depends on the price you buy. It will be a good location, good developers, good master plan township. So if you talk about just based on data, it's just about prices you're entering per square foot that you can get in the markets that will affect your, I would say, the gaps between you and others. That will be when you are exiting or you are comparing your yield. It's always the gap actually that you can, how low, how much your advantage you are getting compared to the other market actually.
The verdict on the infra and upcoming master plan all is really good. You can buy that story. Memang really good. We cannot deny that. They are located at one of the premium location located in Paya Lepas, very close to the airport. I think take about less than 15 minutes away saja, and very close to the high paying jobs area. Even the what I aware of last time was Google punya troubleshoot center, China, located nearby this sense at PICC, very close. So those stories you can buy. But again, when you are talking about Penang, capital appreciation game, you are looking at the price sensitive consideration. It's very sensitive. If your property is luxury enough, you can go and buy and compare to those luxury property in the area lah. If you are not luxury enough, you can need to compare again to those yang comparable. It's price sensitive if you want to enter, but verdict on the infra upcoming master plan, or you can buy lah.
All right. So next question we have from Lee Abdullah. I kind of agree with you that Penang is capital appreciation game. How to see the own stay layout with multiple rental options as something great to enter?
I think, for example, the co-living concept is not very popular in Penang, which I also think can do quite well because the lack of availability of units, right? So, but as far as layout is concerned, like I said, you in many ways, the question here is that is the layout efficient? Because you can build a 3-bedroom 1,000 square foot, or you can build a 3-bedroom 1,005 square foot, right? So 1,000 square foot 3-bedroom is efficient. 1,500 square foot 3-bedroom probably not as efficient unless you are playing in the highest end of the market. So it really depends, right? So when it comes to multiple rental option, you're always going to have like, what's your best play, right? So for example, like the one in Feringhi, layout is not efficient at all, right? Layout is not efficient at all. So what we do, we just renovate to a way whereby we can basically get the best possible expat tenants. And our tenant dekat Feringhi is going to be very different compared to our tenant dekat Bayan Lepas. It's like completely different anymore. One is a working class senior manager, senior executive, right? And the Feringhi one is really going to be retiree, because you ask any Penang Kia, they will tell you, I don't like Feringhi, jam. Susah mau pergi sana. Right? But we're not buying it because of today, right? We're buying it because, well, when the highway gets complete, from Feringhi to go to the proper Penang Island, it's going to be 10-15 minutes, and it's going to be coastal highway. Cantik. So at that point of time, we think Feringhi can be a 300,000 to $500,000 kind of like capital gain, because too cheap. Medium price point of tier 1 dekat Penang is about what, 750 or 800 ringgit per square foot, Zach?
It's about 800 plus.
800 plus, right?
In general.
450, right? We are buying at below 450 ringgit per square foot. So assuming, right, Feringhi stay ke belakang, right, is still, people don't like it still, right? But it's still part of tier 1, whether you like it or not, it's part of tier 1. A lot of expect dekat sana, right? So let's say, for example, it goes to 650, 700 ringgit per square foot. Boom, it's only 50% capital gain. It's too cheap, right? So yeah. When it comes to multiple rental option, once you have enough sizable layout is efficient, you can always explore a lot of options. The only thing you can't, if it's like, for example, a condo, you memang tak boleh nak buat Airbnb lah, tak boleh nak buat short stay. But no one is stopping you from doing medium term. You know, 6 months rental, 9 months rental, which we also think is an opportunity.
Buying property Penang for on-stay layout is great enough. With MRO is great, but I would argue that for capital appreciation game, target single rental option is the best way, which I don't know if Faizul will agree to me or not, but Penang is just different animal. The market is not like KL, not like JB, not like other states. So you were mentioning about your property is on-stay layout. That's good enough. I would argue that single play rental, which is the long-term rental, and you mentioned just now medium-term rental, will do. Because again, if you're looking at too many rental options, back to my point, which is if you have Airbnb in your development, it will make your development less premium and less exclusive. It will, and in a way, affect on your property value in the future time. Will also affect your from profiting, right? Because again, it's for capital gain game, pinning, die for that. Yeah. So if you're buying a premium address, so must really look into details. Layout is okay, but rental options, what are those? If short term, I think that will catch out a bit.
Right. Moving on to the next question, we have from Taisha. Are landed properties in the island good investment for capital gains?
Probably I can go with these landed properties in islands. Is it good investment for capital gains? So basically, if you look across in Penang's scarcity landed premium areas, of course, landed is having a good capital gains in the area because they are lacking more. That's why you have look a lot of old condos in Penang's that is very old because when maybe 20 years back, they really lack of land to build landers. That's because of the premium of the address and scarcity. So if you talk about capital gains for landed is definitely is good. But if you wanted to look at, if you wanted to buy in Penang today, okay, are you able to go with putting up a lot of upfront costs to own a landed properties in Penang? Because generally they are like 2 to 3 millions, you know, the cheapest that you can get in the landed in the prime area. You talk about owning for like foreigners want to sell off in Tanjung Bunga, Tokong, Gurney, all this kind of area. Is that are you able to enter with a lower cost to own it, to go with the capital gain? Because that is why when we talk about a property filter, we talk about return of capital. So the amount of the capital you put up front, are you able to get back in the future? How much is the return you are looking back?
10% is the minimum for us,
yeah,
right? If you put
10%.
capital, you gotta get at least 10%. Maybe I can add a little bit from Albee's POV. I mean, we specialize in unlocking investment using as little to no capital, right? So even if you have to use capital, it's minimum 10% return, right? So that's our guideline. So a lot of things we cannot buy. Landed property we confirm cannot buy because why? You are not gonna be able to generate anything above 6% return on capital. Because the rental for landed property is so shit. Okay, that's point number one, right? Now, I also think people should be a lot more careful today with this moniker or this assumption whereby landed property sure make money one in Penang Island. Sure will make money one, okay? For multiple reasons. Because if you look at the trend of people buying, number one, it's very evident today in Klang Valley, people are downsizing. People are moving from this super semi-D bungalows to now staying in one single floor condo because it's just easier to maintain. I mean, like, if for example, right, if you're a well-to-do guy in Penang, you've got a couple of million to burn, you ask your wife and see, later retire, our kids all go out already, right? So don't know go where, right? Would you rather stay in a bungalow unit, 5 bedroom, you have to clean every day, tak kerja habis, or stay in apartment? Right? Majority of the time, the ladies will come and tell you, I'd rather stay in an apartment, don't want to clean the house. I'm retired, I want to chill, not become a maid. Okay, number one. Number two here is that the the thinking last time, the landed property is driven by adults who aspire to stay in landed property because everyone tells them to go stay in landed property, right? During my era, when I begin to invest in property 20 years ago, right? The viewpoint is that if you don't own a landed property, you're a loser. You can be a guy like me, 20 apartments, still a loser compared to a guy who owns a landed property. I know that's the Malaysian dream, is it, to own a landed property. I don't think the current Gen Y share similar POV. They are lazy, guys. They don't want the hassle. They are lazy. They prefer to stay in a condo. I go down the Starbucks. I go down the coffee, the supermarket. So space somehow is no longer a priority for the next generation. Right? Last but not least, I think you can just look at the NAPIC data and look at the average property price growth for both by state, right? If you buy the report, you go and have a look at it, right? The highest capital gain is double-story house. Second highest is actually high-rise. Third, semi-D. Fourth is bungalow, from a capital gain point of view across Malaysia. I don't know what's the number for Penang, right? I don't know what's the number for Penang, right? But for Malaysia, that seems to be the case. Okay, so I find it to be quite interesting whether landed property will continue to have this capital gain, because there are older parts of Klang Valley as of today, you no longer see that. The apartments are more expensive than the double-story house opposite, because people value security more. Okay. Now, the only exception I can say here is that unless your place, your landed property is gated and guarded, right, in Penang Island, then it's a completely different story. Because gated and guarded property is very rare. And I think they've got the highest capital gain and rental in the last 10 years in Penang. We got a client who stayed there. Very happy. Paid 3 million for a Superlink house. 3 juta ringgit for Superlink. Price actually went up to 4.5 today. Rental not bad too, because it's gated and guarded. So even the Angmo don't mind staying there, because why? Gated and guarded. I feel more secure.
All right. So next up, we have a question from Ali Abdul. I'm a buyer of Nordins by SM. Last time I thought it is a quite layout design. Even the price per square foot is high, but it's giving potentially great cash flow long term, or even better for short term with upcoming LRT some more. At least not capital gain, but my cash flow is great. Do you think my purchase is a wrong move?
Well, we don't know, right? Sebab this concept is pretty new. So I think it's smart for the developer. I don't think you're going to do too bad, especially in the first 2 to 3 years, because new concept, I think you do quite well. Question is that how do you do for the next 27 years? Because developer everywhere not going to look at it. Oh my God, they're doing so well. I'm not going to copy. Says no developer ever in Malaysia. Developer Malaysia ni senang je, guys. Dia tengok satu sukses, boleh jual, okay, semua copy and paste. Macam KLCC lah. Right? So, when you got no competition, I think you will do okay. You'll do quite well. Okay? When there's competition, what are you going to do? Alright? So, now, as we enter Penang market in the last 12 months, I hope you make money. Sebab I think nowadays was what? 1,003, 1,004 per square foot, is it? Betul?
1,004.
Yeah. Because I think we bought the better deal. So basically, if you buy 1,004 and you end up making money because your property is worth 1,008, imagine the property that we bought at 450 per square foot. How much will it be? So I hope you make money. Because that means if your property becomes 1,008 and people are happy with the property, I think our property 450 per square foot become 800. We get double. So I hope you make money. I genuinely hope you make money. So I'm in the game today whereby I don't hope for anyone to not make money. I hope you make money so that we can make even more. Because we buy cheaper. right? So that's the viewpoint for us, right? So if you are bored, happy for you, but I think just be sensitive about your competition. The moment you see a lot of competition coming is the time that you sell. Kau KLCC macam tu juga. Dan development small unit last time, jual 900, went up to 1008, people very happy, tak mau jual, then competition came, then 1008 become 1001, 1002. Now you still make money from your original 900, but you could have double your money, your profit lah, actually more than double, right? So let's see. But I sincerely hope you make money. That means we're gonna make even more.
Tu Bethlehem share, dia kata lesser transaction from studio is because of people make a lot of profits. 70% occupancy rate 250 to 300. I think relate to your answer tadi tu lah. It's today lah. We're
Yeah.
not talking about those time later.
Yeah.
But anyhow, of course, Airbnb is meant for cash flow. Because you can see, look at Penang joint market, their rental yield is bad. So if they cannot use Airbnb to produce a good cash flow, what's the point of buying a studio layout? Because when you can look across the transaction, the layout is not that favorable. People are buying for own stay, holiday homes. Foreigners, they are looking for a bigger size layout rather than small size. So you are talking about gain. If we cannot make a gain, of course they have to make a great cash flow. You have to be balanced out. If both also cannot achieve, then what's the purpose of buying into a small layout Airbnb centric area? Because you have to know why in Penang Airbnb may not be that favorable, less premium in long term, because people are looking for privacy. So would you want someone, your neighbors, in and out every day differently for your own stay? It doesn't work for all the foreigners. That's why if you look, a lot of foreigners, they like to stay along Tanjung Bunga, Tokong side. They prefer privacy, low density, bigger spaces for living. Yeah.
So I guess the other point that I can say here is that, and so there's one big question mark, right? So are you certain that your situation when it comes to short stay will remain to be as favorable and the condition remain as per today? Right? So that's the question mark, right? You don't have an answer to. I don't have an answer to. Right? But I only know as a government, it's very simple. Who pays me more money? Right? That would be the party I will protect, just like gangster lah. Whoever that pay money, I protect. So if the hotel is giving me more taxes, more money, I'm gonna protect the hotels. Especially if the Airbnb guys not fucking paying anything. Right? So who do you protect? You protect people who contribute to the finance of the state or people who don't. Okay? So I'm making a prediction today. Okay, now, assuming Airbnb doesn't get banned, there's a 99.99% possibility in the next 10 years, the cost to run Airbnb will become higher. Because that's the only way for them to justify keeping you guys alive. Because otherwise, you are taking money from hotels. Right? Unless hotels are getting 100% occupancy rate, which they're not, right? Why hotels are paying taxes, employing people? You guys are what? Cowboy. That's why Singapore banned, right? Airbnb completely to protect the hotels. Right? So Penang could go into that direction, and Penang has been the closest thing there is to Singapore. Almost everything that Singapore implements is being implemented in Penang. All right? So two things. Number one, if they don't outright ban it, they will increase the cost. That means you have to pay taxes and whatnot. So at the point of time, so again, so all of this is perfectly fine if you pay 700 ringgit per square foot. You still make money, even with the higher cost. But when you pay 1,004, 1,005, susah, bos. Susah. People pay 1,006 dulu beli escort dekat KLCC. haven't made money until today. It's Escort. It's not some local operator doing Airbnb. It's an international brand. I'm a fan of Escort. Even that, susah nak buat duit. So, I mean, you just have to be mindful lah. If you buy cheap enough, you don't care. Never mind lah. They block Airbnb shit lah. Just run long term also okay. No problem one. Right? When you pay 1,000, which is why we highlight lah. When that happens, you nak jual, tak boleh nak jual. Because people don't buy studio or small units. You want to rent out, your operating cost becomes higher. Register tu lah, register ni lah, kena bayar cukai tu lah, kena bayar cukai ni lah. Kalau tak, why should they protect you? They should protect the hotel. The hotel pay far more taxes. At least billions lah to Penang. So faham eh? So you just have to be mindful. The job here is to highlight. We're not saying it's good. We're not saying it's bad. My job is to highlight everything. Then you, at least when you go in, okay, Faizul pernah cakap dulu. Zach pernah cakap, Albee pernah cakap, William pernah cakap dulu. Okay lah. Fair. So you come in as an informed purchaser. This has been discussed, right? So, and you bought anyway because you love Penang, right? Because Penang is very lovable. Your favorite char kway teow dekat Georgetown. Kau belilah kat situ, no problem. Your favorite nasi kandar kat situ, you don't care. Right? The problem is that when you don't have any love for Penang and then you're purely buying this for investment, there are just so many other better properties. You want to do Airbnb. Like really. Right? At that price point, it's very close to KLCC already. Okay.
Okay, so moving on to the next question, we have from Albert Tan. Hi Faizul, I'm deciding between investing in Bayan Lepas near the industrial zone for steady rental or going for a seafront lifestyle project in Tanjung Tokong for capital appreciation. One is yield driven, the other is prestige driven. If I only have 1.5 million ringgit to deploy, which strategy makes more sense over the next 5 to 10 years?
Prestige. Your yield is subject to a lot of things. Prestige, in my opinion, is a little bit more difficult to copy. So the other thing that what we discovered here, for example, if you have a branded residence, your premium is completely different compared to non-branded residence, right? If you are St. Regis ataupun Ritz-Carlton or Sofitel, right, dekat KLCC ataupun Four Seasons residence, the price is holding and the rental is not doing too bad too. Because there's only one Four Seasons, there's only one St. Regis. Right? So between the two, I would certainly go for Prestige because Prestige has got, especially kalau international brand lah, then yeah. I would go for that. A bit harder to replicate, a bit harder to compete, and people are happy to pay a premium because, well, it's Marriott or Hilton ataupun St. Regis ataupun, you know, whatever, right? Brand. Bayan Tree.
Right. So next question, we have from Lim Wei Zuen. What are your opinions on LRT? Is buying projects near LRT is a sure win?
Tak tahu. Because we cannot comment much on infrastructure that never existed and there's no reference. Klang Valley, there's a lot of reference. Okay? So I can just share you experience from Klang Valley. If you have purchased a property above 700 ringgit per square foot or above 800,000 ringgit net price, having an LRT or MRT next door does not help much. Increasing the property value, no increase whatsoever. Rental value naik sikit. But it hardly helps. Why? Because at those kind of price point, people can afford a car. KTDI property jatuh harga lepas ada MRT. Right? So, if your property is a mass market property, mantap. If your property is a high-end property, not really, bro. People don't even like, property might even drop in value because of that. And again, right, you're not talking about LRT ni. It might help, for example, some of this Airbnb punya place might help. Sebab apa? For tourism, yes. But I think for working, I think people are going to be quite customized to just driving dekat Penang. It's a bit too late lah. The MRT too is 20 years too late for Penang. So everyone has got a car already. Now, who could use the MRT? Yeah, tourism. Duduk kat Nordins kan, nak pergi mana-mana instead of taking expensive Grab kan. Sewa kereta, ambil MRT. Tourism is going to help. But I don't think it's going to help long-term rental sangat. Sebab Penang property price already quite expensive. Almost everything is above 600-700 ringgit per square foot. So what we found kat Klang Valley, after 700 ringgit per square foot tu, the incremental value of MRT tu almost tak ada. Tak penting pun. Tak ada pun tak apa. What is important? Malls, commercial, senang, banyak kedai makan, right? So these are things that will help.
Right, so let's move to the last question we have from Francisca. Gurney today pricing very, very high. Do you see to buy something in other Penang Island, premium address, can still make money now? Let's put aside Bayan Lepas.
Yeah, Gurney is very high. I think the probability of it going up some more is going to be quite low because there's no booster for Gurney. The biggest winner coming from the highway is actually going to be Fringy. Because now Gurney very high because it's convenient, right? Fringy tak convenient. Jauh. Right? The moment the highway is completed, Fringy to Gurney is a berapa minit punya drive. It's a nice drive, right? Next to the sea. Right? So, if you have a premium product, lepas tu a cheaper punya product, and then you build an infrastructure to link it, the premium product doesn't go up in value tau. What go up in value? The less premium punya product. So, if you ask me today, of all the tier 1, I think it's very evident Fringy is the cheapest. Alright? So, you just go and monitor tier 1, find new stories, right? Find new stories. Put it this way lah, property ataupun stocks ni is all about stories, right? Dan people perception. Sebab it's no longer fundamentally driven, right? It's not driven by rental increment because that's not Penang punya game, right? Penang has never been. So a lot of high rise all over Malaysia, rental has to go up first, then only got capital gain. Penang is very different. Penang value go up first, forever story and speculation, then only rental slowly come up. Faham tak? So that's what capital gain property is being driven from. Scarcity, story, new story. You got no new story, you got no incremental value. Full stop. Okay? If you got no new story, your only hope is scarcity saja. How people think is rare. Alright? So I think you can find some deals in Gurney as of today. I don't know whether you should enter it because I don't think Gurney will continue to hold that premium position anymore. Yeah, because what makes Gurney unique today is no longer unique. And I would argue that people who buy the card, mana tu project IJM tu actually made more money. The
Like
reclaim,
City. Like City.
like City tu actually made more money compared to people who bought Gurney in the last 10 years. And guess what? People who bought Light City 10 years ago, all the local Penang Kia, tak mau, reclaim. I remember I made a district director of a international bank tell people don't buy that project, even though he financed that project. He financed, got no choice. IJM is a big client. But itu told people, this is against act of God. Ini luar tabi'i and apa semua tu kan. Reclaim land tak selamat. Well, that property double in value, 450 to now, I think close to about 900 across the board. And this is the most senior person in an international bank in the whole of North region, not just Penang. giving that kind of opinion. So again, bankers can be idiots. Tak payah dengar sangat lah, basically. They don't know everything one. Right? They wear nice thing and they have got a lot of budget, right? To go belanja you makan. So you pergi lah makan for free, no problem, right? But don't need to listen, right? So for me, our game plan at Far Capital very simple. Kalau kita pergi dekat KL, we look at all the tier 1 and why we like Mont Kiara, why we like Dutamas, because it's the cheapest of all tier 1. Of all the expat area, this is the cheapest. Right? So when you buy the cheapest, you're actually quite safe because no matter what economic downturn, there will still be people looking to rent at the cheapest one, still within tier 1. You understand? They're not going to move from tier 1 to stay in Klang tier 3. Tak mungkin. Right? So they go from maybe KLCC, wah, dulu rental budget 15,000, now go Mont Kiara 5,000. But still tier 1, got a lot of expats. They want familiarity. Right? So that's how we do it. That strategy has worked very well for us in the last 10 years. We have done quite well. We have gotten above average rental return. We have gotten above average capital gain too. But again, Penang is not a market I can fully calculate because of this premium of scarcity. I love Penang. There's an emotional value about Penang. So anything emotional, I cannot calculate. So what I can calculate, of all the tier 1 in Penang, Fringy is the cheapest. That's why we buy. And we buy below 450 lah. Highway gets completed, we think it's going to be 700 to 800 ringgit per square foot easy. Okay? So for us, it's what we can calculate mathematically, we do quite okay. But the emotional stuff too, is very hard for us to go and calculate. Right? Which is why you look at the landed property in Penang, gated and guarded, does not make sense. Double, triple in value. Almost 5 juta for a small semi-D. Right? But no competition. Tak ada supply. You want gated and guarded, that's the only place. So you pay lah. So you have to, like I said, you buy into not just scarce because not much land Penang anymore, really, really scarce product, right? So you want to buy landed, buy gated and guarded. All right, you buy landed, buy gated and guarded.
Right. Thank you, our Faizul Ridzuan, and all of our panelists, Zakri, Albee, and also William, joining the Q&A session. And also to all of you who have attended our 2026 DOG Penang edition tonight. Happy Chinese New Year to all whom celebrating. And that was the last question from Francisca. We have answered over 50 questions tonight directly and also on live. So with that, I pass the floor back to you, Effa.
Okay, so first and foremost, thank you so much, guys, for joining. It's almost 1 o'clock. There's still about 100 people across multiple platforms. So congratulations, guys. You guys are able to stay on almost 3 hours, having a conversation about property in Penang in the midst of a holiday. So well done. Number 2, I hope you got a lot of information. You got a lot of value. We're not saying that we know the best. Our job today is to present the data, number 1, and to present the information as how we understand it to be. We could be very wrong, right? Because after all, we are a newbie in Penang. Only 2 property projects in Penang, less than 2 years old in Penang. So far, we are off to a good start. But again, we cannot fight with the Taiko who has been there for the last 10 to 30 years. So we offer a little bit of a fresh perspective. And the job is to give you the perspective so that you have more things to consider before you make buying decision. Because at the end of the day, if you pay something for R1 million, a bit sakit lah if you buy the wrong one, right? So our hope is to reduce risk, and I hope the content that we share tonight has somewhat helped you into reducing risk, helping you to understand Penang a little bit better, right? And of course, if you want to be part of Far Capital, buy property really below market value, buy the best property in Penang. Now we're gonna buy the cheapest property in Johor, right? Next week. We are buying a 4-star hotel, international brand at less than 550 ringgit per square foot, right? So at 300 over 1,000, 70% LTV friendly. So if you're looking to join us to go and buy spectacular properties at the best possible discount, properties that can meet the A filter, do consider becoming a client. And with that, for all our brothers and sisters celebrating Chinese New Year, Kueh Fachoy in advance, Happy Chinese New Year, right? Especially to both William and Albee also making the time, right? Tak tahu diorang kat mana, right? Dekat KL ke ataupun dah balik kampung dah, right? But we appreciate the effort, right? And for those who are interested to become a client, to inquire with the team, I think we'll provide you with the link sekejap lagi, right? So with that, I guess, I'll see you guys soon in our next either Battle Royale ataupun DOG. And again, Kueh Fachoy, in advance. Assalamualaikum. Thank you semua. Good night, everyone.